All right, welcome in, welcome in. We are live back for another Friday night live stream. We've got a new album. I mean, 2026. I don't know how, pause, how long the run's going to be for this year for us just getting consistent albums week to week. But it is, of course, a pretty great intro to the musical calendar for 2026. Of course, ASAP Rocky actually, he both delivered an album and it was good as well too. Shout out, or do we need to say that a little bit differently? Take two. He delivered an album and it was good. So we're really, obviously enjoying that, and the fact that our guy Don T is up to bat this week. I mean, of course, we've got J. Cole in the mix next week as well too. But hey, Toliver is definitely gonna be exciting because we've got, of course, and maybe in a little bit of different, slightly different anticipation worlds, with the ASAP. I don't know if we go like Spotify live, Spotify live streams, Spotify just streams in general. Toliver might be out streaming both Cole and Rocky. I'm not sure. That'd be a good trivia question. I'm sure it's pretty close. They're all kind of in the same tier in general. But again, their status in the game as well too, maybe, and I don't know, maybe there's like a potential Grammy sort of awards things that maybe is a little bit, I don't know, more at play is the right term, but because of maybe, and with Toliver again as well too, I guess he could probably get nominated into all R&B. I guess before Hardstone Psycho gonna get nominated into R&B category. I don't know, but again, there is a little, obviously, just the genre bending there, and then the like we're saying, just the overall competitiveness and hype that is along with a certain type of rap album. But there is just, again, the certain level of, I guess, you get to enjoy the Don Toliver album as well too. There isn't that that criticism or pre-level of like, okay, what's this gonna be, how's this gonna stack up to like the entire the fall off has like, it's got the entire weight of hip-hop on it, at this like the entire history of the genre, edge, focusing on J. Cole as like, hey, it's like supposed to be a top 10 album of all time, like, obviously we're going crazy here. ASAP Rocky, the mystique, and obviously you see the sort of immediate, obviously, world branding and aesthetic that he is able to apply to these projects. I mean, is he getting better as time goes on? I don't know. But of course, he has been able to now at this point, and I think been super underrated. I mean, last time with Hardstone Psycho, I think was definitely the biggest commitment to an aesthetic. And for him as well too, definitely a shift away from what he had been, doing a little bit in the soundscape before in the past. So you can see a lot of those elements, being not a lot of the elements being replayed as Hardstone Psycho, but I guess a lot of the lessons, maybe I should say, of like the world building there, and obviously the attempt to, push the music forward into another space. And we should say as well too, for us, this is definitely like, obviously the most excited we've been for a Don Toliver album, but the most like locked in we've been for him into a rollout. Obviously some of the songs, some of the hits, they make their way into the playlist. But now, and I guess it is what it is. Going back and listening to all the projects, it's like, yes, there is obviously quality here. We love all the projects. I might even say at this point, Life of a Don might be my favorite album of his if I had to pick one. And like I'm saying, I wasn't necessarily there in the moment being like, hey, like this for what's going on here. But obviously the success of Hardstone Psycho, and again, just the way he was successfully able to craft a world and a unique aesthetic as well too. I guess there is obviously the outcome that it could be, it could be poor or mid, or just kind of like the songs are, average, but like the songs themselves, on Hardstone Psycho are actually like exceptional as well too. So there's, obviously replay value just to the individual tracks there. I mean, going back and replaying it, just before this, what song do we have? Brotherstone up here right away? Yeah, I mean, obviously, hot take, Brotherstone's a good song. We could look up the amount of speaking of Spotify streams for that one, that was definitely one of the more, popular hits. But the way he was able to craft all that was just perfect. And again, you can see him, like I'm saying, or like, we're seeing here, you can see him reusing a lot of those principles now for the world building here. And it looks great. It looks great as well, too. Again, I can't say that I've like combed through all the, social media stuff, the trailers, the websites, all that. I guess, we did comb through the website a little bit. There was like a cool mountain graphic sort of situation. It was kind of like, Drake had a thing on a website once, or it was like, in his house, and you'd like go around and you just be like, oh, the vinyl on the coffee table. You'd click on that and it'd be like, oh, that's actually for sale for like $35.95. That's the link to the vinyl, and you just would like go through the store on his house and different links to different parts of the websites. So there was a little bit of a version of that with the Octane website. And I did see a little bit of I did see the first part of the trailer, and then it started cutting into a snippet. And I was like, well, again, this stick, I can kind of get a quick glimpse at the aesthetic and from the merch as well too, going through the website. The merch, some of the merch is pretty sick, but yeah. So I didn't want to spoil the snippet too much, so I didn't watch the full trailer. Hey for research purposes, I don't know if we have to lay it all out there or not. Hey pause. But and I was trying to testing. Whoa, oh, we're okay. Getting a little tricky there with the mic cable. Speaking of ASAP Rocky, testing. It is what it is. But yeah, I was trying to, and maybe it took me a little bit, it took me a little while longer than I thought maybe to figure out sort of the meaning of the cover, because I guess there's not necessarily like, well, maybe there is, maybe it's so hidden on Hearthstone Psycho, that we can't. That we can't see it, but, or like, Lovesick as well, too. I will say, Lovesick definitely has some of course, at this point, his, and, with I guess, the year extra that it dropped with Hearthstone Psycho, a little bit longer replay value, but still some of his biggest hits, but, maybe the one that I would go back to the least at this point. I'm not saying it's a bad album. It's just, you got to rank them in an order at some point. You got to listen to what you can listen to. So, at this point, if I had to queue them up, we're queuing up Life of Dawn, Hearts of Psycho, and then maybe Heaven or Hell at that point as well too. Maybe we need to go back and revisit Donnie Womack as well, just to be able to include it in the conversation. Maybe that's the one where we actually can't talk too much about the replay value there. We don't replay that one a ton, but again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it just doesn't make our rotation a bunch. And of course, 2025 was the last year that he didn't drop an album in this. I guess since 2018 and 19, but 2020, 21, 2, 3. I guess 2022 as well too. So our two albums that are the favorites are the ones that have been able to carry. See, Lovesick wasn't able to carry him for a whole year. He had to double back with Hearthstone Psycho and drop another album. But and again, maybe I could play the full track list on this one as well too to see what is going on here. I'm sure there is a again, with just the way that he builds these projects, there is a cohesive aesthetic that I imagine is happening there, and sort of the luxurious vibes of, like we're saying, the 2021 project as well too is definitely pretty crazy. But yeah, again, obviously just such a great job, like we're saying, of, crafting everything with Hearthstone Psycho, that we're super excited that he was able to, get back to it here. And with the cover, like we were saying, it is that same sort of, I guess it's like the, do we say the nuclear symbol? I guess it's kind of what he's going, I guess he's rebranding, the Octane is not necessarily like, the album's not called Nuclear. And I guess it was him kind of, like he was driving around in a car, beforehand. So is it more like cars going fast? It's not like Fast and Furious, but again, you got kind of the nuclear symbol with him on the the DJ sound equipment board situation here. And I guess we're not as cool. We don't know if is that specific. It almost looks like it could be like a Star Trek situation. Now we've confirmed that we're not cool. I don't know why now we have to say I've never even seen an episode of Star Trek. That's not true. We've seen a couple episodes from the old show. I mean, how do you not watch the old, shout out Captain Kirk. William Shatner. I don't know why we don't know the guy's name that played Spock. I feel like, you think of that show, obviously, shout out that guy Shatner, but, obviously he would have probably, I guess, of the two guys. I don't know everybody on that show. See, I don't know who would have the biggest career out of that show, but I would just assume it would have been, nobody else has been in as many Priceline commercials as our guy Captain Kirk. So, again, I'm assuming it's the biggest career. I was gonna say they both did also cross over into Columbo, another show that we definitely we'll fully admit that we've seen Columbo. You can check the tapes. We've had our times rewatching it. Did we expect Columbo to get name dropped in the Don Toliver album review. I don't know, but shout out. I don't know if do you guys even know what we're talking about? Do you guys even know? Are we putting you on game? We're just dropping the name Columbo out there like we're talking to a bunch of old heads. But, shout out. Is it 1970s? It had quite a run. A 1970s TV detective, Frank Columbo, was always locked in, ready to go. So, 100% hit rate on all the cases. Unless we saw the ones that he didn't solve, judging by the TV show, 100% hit rate. So, spoiler alert for our guy Columbo. It is what it is. But he's out there. He's a detective, and he's out there solving murders. So, shout out. Give him a watch. I would assume it's still on Tubi. I would assume it's just, locked into the Tubi catalog at this point. It's not going anywhere. So, if you want to throw Columbo on Tubi, I don't know, shout out. You might be able to stumble onto it there. But yeah, I think we just pause. We just dive right in. Because, like we said, this is about as excited as we've been in general for album reactions. So we are definitely, ready to give it a listen. Of course, we haven't listened to it yet. We're going to go first live reactions here and see. We get a couple of features right up. We haven't even seen the feature list. Ayo going in as, like we said, as, as blind as possible for the album experience. We've got Yeet and Rima up though first for the feature list, and in back-to-back tracks, pause as well too. So we will definitely see how that goes. And he had one single out before this? I'm assuming Tiramisu is not on the album. It is what it is. But ATM, I think, was a single released for this, and maybe we heard that on a couple of Snapchat stories and some Instagram posts, but we haven't thrown that into the Spotify yet as well too. Again, saving it for the album experience. If it's not on this, then shout out. I guess what a bummer. We missed out on a couple weeks of playing it there, and we could have added into the rotation. But we'll definitely get it in the playlist if it's not. If it's a bonus track or something like that. But E85, can you start Octane? I really I don't know if we tread lightly, but can you start a track list titled Octane with E85? I don't know. Will that get you there, chat? I'm not sure though. Shout out. I guess it's a very efficient. I guess it is an efficient track list. Shout out 49 tracks and 18 songs. That's what happens when you got E85 chat. It is what it is. But okay, we got him. A shout out. Let's see what we got though for the intro track. Hey, we're just playing it off the computer. Is it going through the speaker? It is. Okay, that's what I was hoping for because our phone is hooked to the speaker. Although I guess inside the setup. Inside the setup for you guys. That's how we decided to hook it up here on the Rem and Sam pod. If you guys want to follow along with our setup, it's our phone that is hooked up to the speakers. So there you go. It's that's the official way that the Rem and Sam pod runs it here. I guess shout out. We're gonna try to keep up with the lyrics as well too. I'm sure maybe like the Jid and the Clips albums from last year. There's probably some other projects that we could have been more locked in on the lyrics as the songs were going on. But we're learning. I was gonna say we're growing. Pause. But we're trying to be better here on the Rem and Sam pod. So we're gonna try to follow along here as best we can. Malcolm Todd. It says Don Toliver and Malcolm Todd. Malcolm Todd getting no respect on Spotify, I guess, in the listing. It's not hidden features. Like we said, we do have features listed. So I guess just the Malcolm Todd vocals, not enough. Shout out. But, okay, we got, shout out Brand New Hummer. We laugh all day like Dumb and Dumber. Oh, shout out. We were saying our guy Don Toliver's not a rapper, but I mean this first verse here, you've been running the summer. You got a brand new Hummer. Laugh all day like Dumb and Dumber. About to shoot my shot. She loving my jumper. My favorite outfit is her see-through romper. I mean, is he wrong, chat? Is he wrong? I don't think so. I'm about to shoot my shot. She loving my jumper. I mean, we've got 2 NBA games on in the background right now. Do we have to flash the ESPN to pause? Hey, to remind people that we're a sports podcast. We're basketball journalists here on the Rem and Sam pod in real life. But tonight we're focusing on our guy Don Toliver. It is what it is. But we've got. I guess should we mention what do we got? Kings? No, not Kings. Knicks. Knicks are playing the Blazers. Shout out. If Denny Advia and Shaden Sharp are on. If Denny Advia, Shaden Sharp, Don Toliver, it's just a good Friday night here on the Rem and Sam pod. It is what it is. If the Spurs aren't playing, then that will definitely I guess, satisfy our pop culture needs. It is what it is, but also the ESPN game Raptors versus Magic, I guess, is a competitive one as well too. So that'll be a fun one to keep an eye on. Though it does need to stay competitive because the Sister Act is on BET right now, and if that game gets out of hand, we will definitely switch over to the Sister Act and watch that, because we know that the end of the Sister Act will be better than the end, the fourth quarter of a bad basketball game. It is what it is. So shout out. Or would it be, the Sister Act? No skips if we're going scene by scene for a Sister Act. You don't really think of a movie. What movie has no skips? Ayo. But, ayo, there are obviously movies that if you could just pick scenes out and just watch the scenes, it could be better. Maybe that is a thing that you lose with streaming a little bit. Shout out. And the first, we're just not, shout out the first Don Toliver track is great. Hey, we're locked in, ready to go. 1 for 1 here on the, tear on the album. Okay, shout out. You know what? That actually is probably good, though. I guess, you could go 18 new songs. Who cares? But I guess we do know Tiramisu is good. So shout out. It's like, okay, at least we got, at least we know we're 1, 2, 3 now for 18, potentially. So I guess ATM, these are going to be good songs. Shout out to our guy Don Toliver. It is what it is. But we know that, I guess, I guess what we're saying, movies with skips compared to albums with skips. But yeah, you don't really have like the scene selection ability like you do. Like, DVDs, you have the scene selection, you could go fast forward, but you could also skip through by scene. I guess fast forward navigation is not difficult in 2026. And, yeah, obviously you have great ability to go back and watch scenes with YouTube. Shout out. But I guess, in terms of the scene selection feature, we've definitely lost that a little bit. But yeah, Don Toliver's got us, he's got us hooked early with the basketball lines. He knew, chat. He knew. He's like, I just, first verse, just put a first couple lines of the first verse. We'll just put a little basketball bar, a little bar about Robert Rem and Sam pod. They'll be locked. That'll be 10 mics on the Rem and Sam pod. Shout out. Are we bringing back mics on the Rem and Sam pod? I don't know. We've expanded the scale. It's 10. Pause. It is what it is. 12 midnight microphones. Now we're just ripping off everybody. Hey, yo, shout out Van Lathan. Call in. Defend yourself. But I don't know about what. But for us taking your midnight ranking, it is what it is. But we're not even keeping up with the lyrics at this point. I'm still reading track 1. We're on track 2. We're almost to track 3. We're almost to the Yeet, the Yeet feature. And Yeet, of course, himself. You think Yeet, you think there's definitely a certain way that this track could sound potentially, but there is also like him definitely trying to, I think, branch out with the types of, sound and maybe, be a little bit, I'm not going to say be a little bit more artistic in his work because, his work itself is definitely very pioneering in a way, but you can tell he's definitely trying to capture a couple different lanes with it. So we'll see here, I guess, where this goes in terms of sound. Ayo, we might have to hit the mute for this one. Lock in. Ayo. So YouTube, we got to hit the mute every now and then if you're new here, because I guess if we lock in, because of course the YouTube copyright rules, it is what it is. We can't let the songs play too long, but we gotta pay attention. We gotta see what's going on here. Rendezvous, track 3, Don Toliver and Yeet. We're locking in. And of course, the Don Toliver contrast of just the silky smooth vocals, the way he can get to the high notes as well too. I mean, Yeet definitely, like we're saying, has. I guess what we're really saying is we've been listening to the Feel No Ways Yeet mix a little bit. It is what it is. Yeet does a good job remixing that song. And the vocals on that, there is like I'm not saying that, what are we saying here, but there is a way that Yeet has his vocals too. Obviously you're getting a little bit more of the natural voice there, but still some of the Yeet sound in the way that it's been filtered through. But still, obviously, just whatever he's going to be doing there with, if it's going to be a little bit more like traditional Yeet or AO or whatever, just Don Toliver contrasting that is going to be great as well too. Of course, Don Toliver popping up on what's even the name of that Yeet album? I was gonna say with the orange cover where everything's on fire. I was gonna say Orchestrate. Orchestrate's one of the tracks that we bump a lot off of that album. Probably one of the main Yeet tracks that we do bump. I don't know if you can call the Feel No Ways. I guess you can call it a Yeet song, but still, I guess not necessarily straight out of like an album project or anything like that. But Hey yo, and the Tolliver vocals on this one are pretty crazy. Every time he hits the little diamond on my shoe, see chat. Hey yo, it's impossible. We're not even capable. I guess that's why, shout out Don Toliver is the man. It is what it is. It's like it is like sometimes watching a guy go for a crazy game in the NBA, and obviously like we're saying with the elite rappers as well too. You watch them with their wordplay, you watch them with their ability to catch certain cadences. I mean, like we're saying with Jid, maybe Jid with the wordplay is there as well too. But maybe the clips are like a little bit better, bringing the bars, and you're really, going through their lyrics and, really paying attention there. Like we're saying, they can drop 40 from a content standpoint. Jid can go out and drop 40 from a cadence, get in a pocket, catch a rhythm on a track, and just like go crazy on a verse standpoint. Hey, yo, pause. Whoa. But, like we're saying, Don Toliver can go out and drop 40 because because his vocal performances are just crazy. And obviously his ability to build around the songs around some of those ad-libs and stuff, or, how he's been crafting a lot of his music up until this point. But another great one right there with track 3, Rendezvous. Like we're saying, the peak high notes there were definitely catching our attention for sure. So we're going a little bit, more mellow with the Rima track here. Hopefully we're getting the correct pronunciation there on the name. Shout out. But, again, the balance of that and Yeet back to back, that was making me think that maybe that Yeet track, smoother, I guess, if that's the right way to phrase it. But, again, this one definitely a little bit more heartfelt for sure. But like we said, we know that the energy is going to be back a little bit with Tiramisu, and it was a pretty energetic start as well too to kick off the album. So it's gonna get those little cycles. And one of the things that I did like about Hearthstone Psycho as well too was just the way that he had the track list laid out. I know it's not, if he had it 16, 20 songs just consecutively like this versus the way he had it separated up into the discs, on Spotify, ultimately it doesn't matter. But it is cool, I'm sure, maybe for that, have 4 discs. Whoa, hey, yo, pause. 4 discs that he sold. But what's Don Toliver selling on his website over there? I don't know. Hey, yo, shout out. We're not trying to allege Don Toliver of anything, but we're just, maybe he had 4 vinyls. Hey, yo, we gotta be careful with our phrasing now. 4 vinyls for sale in the shop. Hey, yo, it is what it is. Moving on. We gotta get to the lyrics. Maybe we just focus on the lyrics. I call her wavy. Ooh, chat. Hey, yo, Don Toliver. He's spitting bars on this one. It is what it is. What's the outro on this one? Okay, I walked in, gun on safety. When she see me, she say, save me. Ooh, little mama in the club getting crazy. She's always weird. I call her wavy. I chat, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Maybe we're just pro Don Toliver at this point. Hey, yo, we like hanging out. The beats are good. Like we're saying, the vocal performances are fun. So just, maybe any bars at this point, we're just in for the ride. Pause. It is what it is. But I don't know. Did we say Don Toliver? He speaks to me, chat. He speaks to me. I don't know. Diamonds on my head, diamonds on my shoe. Take you back to school, baby. What it do? Everything cool, everything cool. I just want to move. If you down to move, it says move in the genius lyrics. Move. Diamonds on my head, and then on the second time it's got it listed. Does it have it listed like that on all the choruses? At least in the post chorus. First time it says diamonds on my head, diamonds on my shoe, but then it says diamonds on my head, diamonds on my shoe. Ooh. So yeah, I mean, he's going so epic on some of those vocal performances that they even have to write it into the genius bars. Hey, yo. I mean, are we putting him on the same tier as Whitney over here? We're not again, I think there is an all-time list. We're just saying that we're having a great time listening to him in 2026, and that he is crushing as well too. Rendezvous is third track, 5th collaboration between Toliver and Yeet. And what I was going to say earlier is not necessarily listening to a ton of Yeet. I don't know how many times they have collaborated, but yeah, 5th collaborations. The first being on Heavy Stunts. Oh, Geeked Up. Yeah, I guess he's on. Is that a bonus track on Hearthstone Psycho? Because again, he's got him like a deluxe now. It's kind of listed together. Yeah, that's track 20 for 20 on Hearthstone Psycho. It is what it is. So, maybe we go back and revisit that. Are we gonna be listening to Yeet in 2025? I don't, or 2026. Hey, yo, we were not, I guess as much in 2025. So I don't know. You know, Sam's been pro Yeet for years. Definitely been championing him as an artist. Hey, yo, shout out. So are we catching up? It is what it is. But you know, obviously like we're saying, the talent and the the discography, the proven ability is there. One of the the hottest unique guys. Pause. Whoa, ayo. The music, one of the hottest music guys, unique artist music guys in the game. It is what it is. Hey, yo, we're just in pause territory in the middle of this track list. Shout out. Tiramisu. It's a vibe. Do we hit the mute? Do we just lock in? I don't know. It is what it is. Both singles, we get the back-to-back singles run here, and then we're in for, new songs for the rest of the track list, which will be fun. Tizo and Travis Scott back-to-back on the track list. Long Way to Calabasas. I don't know, for some reason, Long Way to Calabasas. That's more of an interlude. So I guess a minute 39 on the track list here. I was going to say, maybe that seemed more like a little bit more of a sad track, but I don't know if we're going to get a little bit more kind of energy and weird with some of these Travis Scott and Tizo touchdown features, because again, you could see both of those guys bring in similar energies in the track list. Either way, if they're both going melodic performances, obviously that's, they're both going to be excellent at that for sure. But both of them being in more energetic tracks is definitely something that could, bring something to the track list as well too. And like we're saying, both those guys can just naturally, be in similar types of tracks, be in similar lanes versus maybe Yeet and Rima having to, bend to each other. Well, ayo, to each other's types of tracks slightly in the track list. But ayo, is this ATM now? We're still on Tiramisu on the computer here. It hasn't switched over, so we may have to. Can we refresh it here and see what is going on to get it updated? Oh well, regardless, follow along if you can. It is still, of course, playing in the background, even though we're locked on Tiramisu. We might have to restart here. Here, let me see if I can restart the track on the computer. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're locked back in. It's updated. ATM is going. It's a replay, chat. Ayo, our first replay of the night. ATM, shout out. It's a banger. That intro was going crazy. But the intro does go a little crazy on this one. Okay. And speaking of bringing the energy back to the track list, for sure. I mean, that's one of the great things, again, about Don Toliver as well, too. Of course, he can, like we're saying, have these R&B type tracks and R&B type performances, but he does focus on having the higher energy types as well too, and is gonna cross over into some more trap beats, and then it is that almost Yeet-esque type production where it is do we say like Playboy Cardi? Like you wouldn't, I don't, maybe we're just we're not online, we're not on Reddit, so I don't know how these people on Reddit are comparing these artists. Hey yo, but I don't know if you would necessarily compare Don Toliver and like Playboy Cardi in the same lane. But again, their ability to build the trap beats around their vocal ad-libs and their vocal performances, again, Don Toliver might be doing more, like, I guess, what do we say, like higher end flourishes? I don't know. We're not really, I guess caught up on musical terms. But, and obviously Cardi's going to get more unique. Obviously, there's that iconic video of him, making all the weird sounds. Hey, I don't know if we record a couple of Cardi ad-libs right now. So Cardi can use those. There we go. In his next album. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, you do have like a very steady, repetitive type loop here. Ayo, I don't want to say that it, speaking of Brotherstone, I don't want to say that it's like modeled after Brotherstone. That's got kind of the obviously that piano loop. It is so we shouldn't have listened to that one right before this one as well too. I was gonna say it's so addictive. Ayo, we're gonna trip over our words again. It is what it is. It's very intoxicating. I don't know. But this is definitely that same type of captivating loop as well. And I would say on that one, you do have maybe the drums being a little more off on Brotherstone, like the drums being a little more off kilter and a little more captivating on that. And of course, Kodak, his catchiness on the hook is really fun as well too. I mean, again, that's definitely one of the fun replay value tracks off of that album. One of the ones, that you're gonna queue up on the aux cord, just in a blanket setting. Hey yo, we need a fun track. It's like, okay, Brother Stones probably gonna work out okay. But you get the little transition at the end of this one, so I guess setting us up for the interlude here. Long way to Calabasas, I guess. ATM continues the sonic direction. First explored on Tiramisu. Released in... it was released all the way back in September. Hey, yo. Over the months prior to the release of the track, Don Toliver expressed his desire to return to producing his own tracks, which reflected on this album and hopefully will be throughout the rest of his career. That's what it says here on the Genius about the track we just listened to. So, yeah, we're definitely, a little slower, a little softer with the vocals. I don't know, Long Way to Calabasas. I feel like, I guess you could be, it's like a, we need to drive really fast, get the energy up. That could be a Fast and Furious type of move. Did they ever say that? They're like, we need to get going. We're a long way from Calabasas. They might have said that when they're in Brazil at some point. I don't know. But that does seem more night drive type territory, laid back, cruising type ordeal. So definitely in line with that. Of course, just one verse here on the Genius. Hey yo, I guess it's you that I really care for. Hard to get you out of my head. I don't really care what I say. I guess it's a long way to Calabasas. Swings from the wind when you walk past me. Ooh, walk past. I found strength, found peace, found happiness. Looking in the mirror. Is it happiness? Done fell in love. I ain't having this. Ooh, there is. See, he's, that's a little rhyme there. Shout out our guy Don Toliver. Okay, shout out. We got in the intro here. How you broke my heart in pieces. I'm chasing passion. Oh yeah, I'm really chasing passion. Oh yeah. Hey yo. So again, had some I guess some things to say there in the middle of the album. Shout out our guy Don Toliver. Hopefully he's doing okay. But Travis Scott, like we're saying, bringing a little excitement, Rosary into the track list here. Of course, you do in the, like we're saying, Heart So Psycho, get Travis Scott more in the middle of that track list, and he does have 2 features on that. Whoa, we skipped Rosary, not the first skip on the album. We just fat fingered that. Ayo, we're back. Okay, we're restarting Rosary. If you're following along, we're really doing a great job of navigating this album. It is what it is. But he he had Ice Age on disc 2, and then on section 4, ayo, he had Inside, which is another really great track as well too. And again, he does play into the Travis Scott does play into the R&B world so well. So maybe when he crosses over with these types of artists, it's an excuse to again do that as well too. Pause more so than like, hey, Travis Scott, can you bring us a rap beat and a rap verse? Maybe you just want, like we're saying, the mix of the vocals kind of working together. And there is definitely, of course, a fun bounce to this track as well too. Like this one, see again the drums on this one, there is just like a little bit of a an offness, maybe not even offness. Ayo, pause. But there is just like a little bit of a different rhythm with the kicks here that keeps you locked in. I'm assuming that we're gonna have Travis Scott on production, but maybe not writing an arrangement. Caleb Toliver, writer. Wheezy, producer. Shout out Sean Momberger, 202 Derek, engineer and mixer. Dylan Brophy, assistant mixer. Of course, shout out Spotify, really locking in with the credits these days. It is what it is. Sycamore, the A&R manager. Copyist, Zach Yolovsky. So, everybody getting a shout out here on the Spotify. Tristan Capel, tenor saxophone. I mean, they got the whole band listed here. Aaron Janik on the trumpet, Ito Meshulam on the trombone, and then Travis Scott on the vocals. I mean, imagine pulling up to a garage, I guess, and it's Travis Scott, Aaron Janik, Ito Meshulam, and Tristan Campbell. I mean, maybe, I guess from a name value standpoint, I guess, Travis Scott is carrying some there. But, I guess you're going to get a good song. Shout out. If they're just in a garage playing Rosary somewhere, that'd be pretty crazy. Don Toliver just standing up on something in the garage, I guess. It is what it is. I guess Don Toliver does have to be there as well. But this track does also slap pretty good. Ayo, pause. Oh, see what I mean, chat? It is what it is. Some nights, I guess some nights you don't put up 40. Shout out. I don't know if these are like we're missing shots, but they're going for offensive rebounds. So it's like, hey, we're still getting points on the board, I think, but the field goal percentage might be a little low. It is what it is. But yeah, shout out. This is definitely, a super fun Don Toliver track. And now we gotta, like we're saying, now we gotta remember the collaboration history with Tizo Touchdown. Okay, yeah. Also on Hearthstone Psycho as well. He did have, Charlie Wilson, Cash Cobain on the feature list that time. I almost just fat-fingered clicked on that one. It is what it is. I thought I did there for a second. I thought we have to reset. We're just going to be launching into a Hearthstone Psycho re-listen. I guess if I fat-finger that at some point, or maybe I just maybe I accidentally fat-finger like Life of a Dawn, like I was saying. Like, oh, wait a second. Oh, whoops, I accidentally just played 2 a.m. Oh, no. It is what it is. But all the signs. Oh, maybe, I guess, shout out, Don Toliver. He's also for the ladies. So he's definitely going to be, I guess, what are we saying here, chat? Hey, cancel us now. He's, singing for the ladies. Shout out. But technically, or I say bolded out, all caps. Opposite is all caps. So we'll, I guess, see what that means when we get there. But this is like as... is euphoric the right word? This is as euphoric a Don Toliver track as we've had in a minute. Again, definitely, like we're saying, slowed down, but the build on it is definitely there for sure. ALC, it is what it is. But there is definitely like still a crescendo that you are getting. Rosary, Euphoria. Speaking of course, one of the iconic tracks that Travis and Don Toliver have collaborated on in the past. I guess that one is, that one's going to be an all-time collaboration for them together. That's going to be a difficult one if you're doing like an individual rankings. But like I'm saying, Inside's a great track. I've been bumping that one a lot. So I'm sure Rosary's going to go right into the playlist with those other ones for the replay value there. Okay, Tizo Touchdown, definitely making a distinct entrance into the song. You do like to see that. And of course, you get kind of a contrasting cadence here with him compared to Toliver as well, too. Kind of definitely the higher emotion the whole time. And let's see if we can get into the verse here and see. Nah, we fight. Oh, see, Chad, he's dropping bars right away. Hey, yo, it is what it is. For what? For likes? I'd like to think that we better than that, but I know what you like. The makeup's, I don't get nothing wetter than that when I raise my voice, but I make a point. So when you come home slamming the doors, packing up clothes. So, I mean, definitely explains the high emotion of the approach to the song for sure. We're definitely putting 2 and 2 together there, pause, but it's because you need some me. And I got you. I'm your lover. I'm your homie. We just, I'm your twin. I'm your partner. I'm not your problem. We break up, then make up, then hang out, then hang up. We lay down, then lay up. So, ayo, Tizo Touchdown, chat. Kevin Hart bit every direction here. It is what it is. But yeah, so I guess, shout out the consistency in the, I guess, the subject matter and then portraying that in the vocal performance definitely was, they were both definitely there. That's for sure. Guilty. What's it on top of it? Guilty if I love you was a crime. Guilty if I'm guilty. We're telling you we have more time. Guilty for believing all the signs. Don Toliver, just admitting to everything right here. I mean, what did our, I guess I was gonna say our guy. I don't know if we can say our guy. But what did a guy say one time on the Is What It Is pod? You don't confess. So Don Toliver, I guess it is what it is. He's confessing. Quite the confession here on the end of this track list. Pretty chat. We're a family show. You'll just have to listen to the Don Toliver lyrics yourself, I guess. It is what it is. You're like my favorite car. I want to gas it. She put that grip on mine. I call her Gadget. So, you know, he always definitely ends the song with some of his strongest bars. It is what it is. Wait, what are we on now? Call Back. I like the energy on this one is pretty fun. Another collaboration between Don Toliver. This is their third collaboration. First is on Don Toliver's song. Luckily, they collaborate again on Heartstone Psycho, on the song Backstreet, and now the duo collaborates again on All the Signs. Okay, there we go. Locked in there on the backstory for that one. So yeah, here we go. Track 10, Call Back. Let's see what we've got going on here. You got a 10. You Gotta Let Me In. We Down for Life. That's my twin. She been up since 2010. Hey, yo. I guess it has been a decade at this point. You know, when people in these songs are going to start referring to, like, you know, oh, it's been so long. It's been since, like, 2012. It's like, wait a second. Wait a second. What does that mean? I mean, you know, Don Toliver is definitely, you know, Don Toliver's in the peer range for sure. I guess Don Toliver, you know, what are we saying here in the Genius annotations? I don't know. But I got you on my ringtone. I need me some mo. I don't, you know, hey, yo, chat, cancel us now. We back, oh, so back. I had to show. She came back to back. Hey, yo, I'm on the road. I guess is he talking about her showing up at the shows? Don Toliver? A little double entendre there? I don't know. Your face on fleek. Your body on fleek. I'm loving that. I'm wiping your feet. Woo. I guess I don't know if that's exactly how the ad lib is delivered there. Oh, chat, we're running behind. We're still on the lyrics for Call Back. Tuition's another banger, though. We might have to skip ahead. Got a bad little friend like Black Eyed Peas? She said, shake something. Who here for a couple million? I ain't worried about these. Got a top 10. Gotta let me in. We Down for Life. That's my twin. Hey, yo. So we go for Tuition, track 10. Callback is expected to appear on Don Toliver's. He performed the shortened version for the first time at KB Hallen in Copenhagen, Denmark, as part of his Psycho tour, May 15th, 2025. Ooh, okay. So, you know, he has been obviously crafting this for a while. He's had this one ready to go and then released. I mean, obviously, hopefully he's been crafting this for a while. I mean, I guess hopefully. If he had thrown this together last minute, you know, hey, yo, impressive stuff. But the snippet was released through a teaser video in clearer audio quality and the following day. After performing a shortened version throughout the whole European leg of the tour, he performed a longer version with an unheard part in a co-op live in Manchester, United Kingdom on June 1st, 2025. So, yeah, I mean, obviously able to preview a lot of this stuff early, like we're saying, because he dropped that, obviously, you know, Tiramisu early, ATM way back in September, I guess, as well, too. But Tuition, okay, now we're just a full track behind at this point. It is what it is. In the strip club, got our ones up with her hair tied to the back, and the strip club kind of, I've been slipping on Dirty A. You leaving the strip club with your best friend, trying to make college tuition at the West End? Oh, chat, I don't know if, you know, did we feel good or bad about that bar? Hey, you know, like we said, Don Toliver, he speaks to me. So I don't know, you know, I guess we're not like living the story. Hey, I guess there's a lot of perspectives going on there. It is what it is. She on that tracker. She's always trying to get rich. You got Chev. Maybe we. We got a Mello shout out. Hey, yo, before I click the Genius, this better be Carmelo Anthony. What's it? I mean, for context, it doesn't say anything about like New York's or anything like that. I'm on the court like Mello. That booty get jiggly like Jello. Work on the boy, good fella, shoddy, been on my level. So it could be both for the context of the song. Again, Mello is just for the court shout out there. I'm on the court like Mello, and to obviously rhyme with the jiggly booty like Jello. So, you know, again, it's not like I'm king of New York, Mello, her booty jiggly like Mello. I guess I'm king of the court. I'm king of the court. I guess Mello never played for the Kings. But he could still. You never know. Vivek might sign him at any moment. But here we go. Let's click and see what it says. Maybe it just says either one. I guess LaMelo did, or LaMelo. Ayo. Now we're getting mixed up. Car mixed up. We've got Don Toliver. Okay, it does say on the Genius that he is most likely referring to NBA legend Carmelo Anthony, but he could also, just as he could also be referring to LaMelo Ball. Don Toliver, we need to clear it up. We need to know if Don Toliver says Melo, who does he say? Is that I mean, it has to be Carmelo. There's no way. Like we're saying, if we can barely even speak trying to say it. Hey, yo. But the fact that, like we're saying, obviously Don Toliver, similar age range. So I got to I guess Don Toliver's not in his early 20s. Hey, yo, Don Toliver's in his 30s, right? He's definitely, so I guess if Don Toliver's in his 30s, there's no way is Don Toliver think LaMelo Ball is cool like that? I thought LaMelo Ball was like, hey, yo. Like, yeah, I don't know if maybe Don Toliver's audience and LaMelo Ball's audience, but I don't know if Don Toliver himself, he might have a LaMelo jersey just because the LaMelo Hornets jersey is cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it is one that you gotta, it is definitely pretty sick. I'm not saying it's the number one Hornets jersey as well, too. Now the Knipple's gonna be on, hot off the market, I guess, at this point. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully, do we send him a DM right now and see Don Toliver? We need instant clarification. Who is Melo in the track tuition? Who are you talking about? Carmelo Anthony or LaMelo Ball? But I'm pretty sure now we don't know it. We don't know where any of these guys are from. It is what it is. Like we said, we literally just listen to Spotify. But there is like Houston ties, right, with Don Toliver. So Carmelo Anthony, Houston, I guess. I don't know. Did Don Toliver, is he a fan of some random Lithuanian professional basketball teams that we don't know about? I guess, like we said before, the LaMelo Lithuania jersey could be a fun one, potential. But did he also play in Australia? So you could have had a LaMelo NBL as well too. But I mean, maybe I was gonna say LaMelo probably does have a better jersey than Carmelo. I was gonna say LaMelo. Well, I guess we can just see. There we go. We just said Melo. LaMelo probably has a better jersey than Melo. But I do think that the Melo Oak Hill jersey is probably the best single jersey between the two. Again, that Carmelo chat, our brains are broke. The LaMelo Hornets blue is, that standard Hornets blue. Again, the Hornets blue is the cool jersey part there. And, again, I guess you could get it as a LaMelo Ball is the point. But the actual Oak Hill Carmelo Anthony, if you pull up with an Oak Hill Carmelo Anthony, that is probably going to win any type of jersey environment. I mean, the Kobe, is it Lower Merion? The Kobe 33 is pretty cool as well too. But I think the Kobe 33 is a little overworn. I'm not saying that it's not elite, but it is definitely one that, again, is not unique. Respectfully, again, shout out, it's Kobe. It's obviously one of the top 3 most popular NBA players of all time. I don't know, but if we include jersey sales of all the jerseys, then he definitely could be in the mix. I guess Jordan would probably still have to. Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, 1, 2, 3, the most popular players ever. I mean, it literally probably only is Magic and Steph that you would argue, at any point over those guys. Maybe Shaq at the peak of his powers, but again, they literally traded Shaq and kept Kobe. So I don't know if you can, make that argument there. It is what it is. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we need to get our hands on a retro Carmelo Anthony jersey there. A little Oak Hill, see what's going on. But I'm sure, can we still order off of Temu and DHgate? I'm not sure if we can get like a $10 Carmelo Anthony jersey, throwback Carmelo Anthony jersey. Yeah, I'll be like, oh, this is definitely real. It is what it is. I don't know why, but I get like I do know why we want to get a Jalen Rose, because we're Michigan fans. But get a Carmelo Anthony throwback and a Jalen Rose Michigan throwback could be pretty sick. And K9 with Saw Baby is another great track as well too, as we talk through that, and we could see what the NBA shout outs are in that one. I guess a good we got a couple in this one. I guess I don't know. I'm trying to think. Did Brother Stone have an NBA shout out in it? I don't know. Birds in the trap gonna sting. I guess maybe not early on there. I'm not sure. But Life of a Dawn, maybe a little, like we're saying, a little lacking in the NBA shout outs as well too. So maybe we need to go through his timeline. Was he maybe if he is a new NBA fan, maybe he is a fan of LaMelo. I don't know. This is definitely going to be the number one thing we're worried about. We may have to post a poll afterwards and see what is going on there. Don Toliver, call in and let us know what your referring to tuition. Okay, we're still on tuition. Now we're 2 tracks behind. It is what it is. Excavator, we're 3 tracks behind. Gemstone, okay, track 14. We're just gonna have to catch up. It is what it is. Gemstone, oh, we got a little like anthemic sound here at the beginning. Some kind of horns, AO situation. Okay, yeah, he is bringing a little energy here to the end of the track list. Ayo. Okay, where are we on the right track? Gemstone, shout out. Yeah, we're just getting into we're just ready to sing along. It is what it is. We're Remington karaoke here tonight. Shout out. Why would I play when I know that? Why would I play when I know that? Slap. Go tell the DJ. Run that. Go tell the DJ. Tell the DJ. Go and run that. I got too many issues. Bought some more missiles. I'm sitting here by myself, dog. I ain't giving no tissue. Why would I play when I know that shit? Okay. Why would I play when he knows it slaps? Tell the DJ go run that. I got the gemstone. Got the she got the gushy. Ooh, she got the really whoa. That's actually how the lines go. We're not keeping it a family show that time. It's a family show, obviously. I guess, you know, the lyrics before that, but hit my line when kids cover your ears. Hit my line when you're ready to moan. Hit my line when you're ready to moan. Back in that trap. I'm on the east side. I'm on the north side. I'm coming clean, going way off the map. Car to the 6-man. Turn up my hats. I'm on the jet. Try to get dispatched. Hey, yo. So, you know, Don Toliver, he's definitely in a very, you know, he's in a certain state of mind on this album. Shout out. You know, he's always been very... Oh, and we do have a Fast and Furious shout out here as well, too. Pull on your block. This is Fast and Furious. Switching the lane. The Lamb Delirious. Pull on your block. This is Fast and Furious. Talking that can't be serious. Ooh, Chet. Furious Delirious? Has anybody rhymed Furious and Delirious before in a rap song? I don't know. We need to go back and look through, I guess, the Eminem discography. Did Busta Rhymes ever say Fast and Furious, The Lamb Delirious? But shout out again. We're just a fan of the Fast and Furious reference, but that's a fun rhyme, and I'm not saying somebody reuse it for in a I guess a better rhyme scheme song. I don't know, but I guess shout out Jid. We'll DM Don Toliver, ask him about the mellow question, then DM Jid and say, hey, make a Fast and Furious reference. Does it say Fast 5? I don't know. If we get him to work in Fast 5 into, I guess he did say Paul Walker. He's already done it, Chad. That's how you know Jid's the best. That's how you know he's up there for the best. Ayo, shout out. Ayo, and William Shatner. We're back saying his name, but yeah, shout out to Jid because he was dropping Fast and Furious bars right away too. Track 1 on God Does Like Ugly. He's got the ayo, maybe a little bit of a ayo, obviously do you say a shout out to Paul Walker? I don't know, but and we do obviously ayo, obviously rest in peace. Shout out to Paul Walker, but. Regardless, he was dropping the bars. Oh, and I guess we got the all caps track opposite up next with, I guess, in TMU is also all caps as well. So here, can we see why does it say, why is this song all caps? It's driving me crazy. The song is built around Mala something, this song, what song are we looking at here? Gemstone. This song is built around a sample of a dramatic, okay, we're just reading here. I don't know why we can't read tonight. It is what it is. It's because we can't pronounce this word, but the song is built around a sample of a Cuban classicals composition originally written by an Ernesto Lacuna. Over time, the song became culturally associated with Auburn University. Oh, Auburn University marching band adopted this song as a hype piece, and their powerful bass arrangement made it famous in college football culture. And Don Toliver did with the song, making it full of energy, hype, or crowd busting. Hey, yo, pause. I mean, obviously, we are locked in. We do know that Michigan plays Mr. Brightside at their games. But we could do a better job of being more locked in, I guess, on song cultures tied with... I would say college probably has the strongest tradition of, a associating, and obviously the marching bands. You know, you don't really have a marching band in the NFL anymore, but the strong association of of music with the actual games themselves. You know, I don't know. Does an NFL team like you go to because like, do the Colts have a song that they play at every game? You know, I don't think that's necessarily something that is the case. You know, I guess no love for Freddie Gibbs. There's not like one Freddie Gibbs song that they're just playing at every Colts game. Be like, hey, our Indiana guy. It is what it is. Get some Freddie Gibbs in the Colts game playlist. Is that gonna be, people are like, oh, concession stand break? I don't know. Oh, chat, we didn't mean to say it. We're pro Freddie Gibbs here on the Rem and Sam pod. Shout out. I guess we should, hopefully, on the Rem and Sam pod, we should ask Sam that hopefully we're not recreating the meme. It'd be like, hey, can we play some Freddie Gibbs? Sam just pushes us out of the car. It is what it is. But TMU, another banger. I guess we didn't even get to the opposite and see why it was stylized that way. It was a great track, so either way, didn't matter. He probably just, he was thinking about TMU, the next track, and just left the cap locks on for opposite is probably what ended up happening. Drop the Octane in the styrofoam. Keep the 9 Beretta. It's a 2-tone. She talking to G6. She want to eat. Driving V6. I'm out in Venus. Out in Tijuana. I'm going to tell the truth. Why would I mind? I hit instead. Ride the block down. And this is the car that I cannot say this name, but the Coensig? I guess it is truth instead. Honestly, the only reason I think I can say it is because would I mind? Would I hit instead? Ride the block in the Coensig. Should we look up the Coensig really quick and see what we got going on here? Because this is a pretty sick car, and I guess we're not necessarily, locked into all the cars. It is what it is. But is it something with the Coensegs? I don't know. But I think it is, up there for expensive cars as well, too. That's the Rem and Sam pod hot take. I guess if we played maybe more car video games, we'd be more familiar with the Coenseg in terms of its actual abilities. That would have to be, of course, how we would have to drive it at this point. Would be in a video game. Ayo, the blue one with the gold wheels is pretty crazy, but this matte black is going wild as well, too. 2,300 horsepower in a hybrid V8. I mean, it's still 7,000 horsepower behind the Dominic Toretto, what was it, 9,000 horsepower Charger? Is that what it was? Did they say that? Or was it just 1,000? Did it get to it? Was it 900 and then it got up? It might have been that. It might have been 900 horsepower and then up to 1,000. But I think it might have, in Fast 8, it might have been 9,000 horsepower. I'm not sure. Because 900 horsepower is realistic, right? Well, I guess, like a car could handle that. I think I wanted to say that we were, car people were like, 9,000 horsepower, just rip the motor right out of the chassis and, just be sitting in the driveway. I was car. Speaking of Dominic Toretto, I guess Dom T, not, I guess Dominic, Don Toretto Toliver. I don't know if there's a crossover there. Get him into the Fast and Furious universe. Don Toliver in the Fast and Furious universe could work. And I mean, like we're saying, we're getting shout outs here. We're seeing the knowledge of the vehicles. We got the black one here, chat. Ooh. It got like a one little like orange sort of highlight going on around the roof line. And there is like I guess this one's almost like a Batmobile. The Coensig the Swedish Batmobile. I wish we could do a Swedish accent. Can somebody call in and do Swedish Batman on the Rem and Sam pod? This is a new bit that we're going to be debuting. International Batman on the Rem and Sam pod. I'm not going to attempt to do Spanish Batman on the Rem and Sam pod, even though, I guess we have to start laying out the 23andMe here on the Rem and Sam pod? I don't know about that. But, we're just going to be respectful of what we can attempt and not attempt, just in terms of, quality. So we will let the professionals attempt international Batman, but we love to see diversity in all of our characters. So, if Swedish Batman, great diversity there, but, if we get Swedish Batman in the Coensig, that could be pretty sick. I think it did, when I Googled it, I think it did say Swedish designers. That's why I'm saying Swedish Batman in the Coensig. But I guess, obviously, and maybe is this car outlawed in America? Maybe I heard that as well, too. So, I mean, it's too cool. It's like the NBA. It's like the headband for NBA of cars. Like it's just too cool. You cannot wear the tied around your head headband in the NBA because it's just too cool. The aura that you get from wearing that headband is actually so strong that the NBA does not allow it. It's crazy. So the Coensig, it's like if you're driving the Coensig in America, do we just hit aura in back-to-back sentences? I don't know. See, we're not a rapper. It is what it rhymes with aura, so we're a song ever. But the aura that 4 times that you would get from the Coensig is pretty crazy. The tint there, I like, and you got the wraparound on the windshield is pretty sick as well too. I was saying, does my car have a wraparound windshield? Why does that seem so unique? But I guess it doesn't, because it does stand out. So shout out. We're lost in the track list at this point. I was gonna say this still sounded new. Sweet Home for the outro on the final song here is starting off like a hit again. Hey yo, this is definitely a little bit more, do you say natural, for the Don Toliver vocals. It feels like there's a little less process going on here. Definitely sits a little bit more forward, I think, on the actual, on the actual beat itself. Very present on the track. So definitely, him there to give us one last performance to wrap up the track list. And this is just another super impressive, cohesive aesthetic. He's always able to get the, he's always able to use his best, get the best and use the features on the track list well to accompany the project. Like we were saying, selective in terms of who he is having on the track list as features. And always seems to Saw Baby. I know we've double checked everybody's collaboration history at this point. Probably sure they've worked together in the past, but he has always seemed to, have a new person or two on the album, like you would suspect. I mean, at some point, in terms of the features. And he has been himself, featuring and building up other lower, or, other newer artists, we should say, as well too. So there is maybe that you're going to get the collaborative performances that way. And then, you're going to go to the Don Toliver track list for Don Toliver. And it didn't even really dawn on me as well too. Hey, yo, shout out. It didn't really, do we say it again? I don't know, but it didn't really register with us that these were all Don Toliver tracks at the end as well too. Shout out again, like we said, we just having a good time vibing to Don Toliver. So, man, what do we say? We just get lost in the vocal performances, but we're talking about music here. It is what it is. So, we can just, I guess, sit back and get lost in the Don Toliver songs here and not have to worry. Like we're saying, he can, build these great songs, like we're saying, with features, but then just, boom, he's going to be giving us smooth performances and great beats for the last third of the track list here, and it's going to play just as great as the rest of this as well too. And again, I guess Octane, like we're saying, maybe we're expecting some different type of energy, Hardstone Psycho as well too, but it is a little bit more laid back than that, and I do kind of like that as well too. And these songs, even though, like we're saying, maybe a little bit more in an R&B-ish lane consistently throughout the course of the track list, is still unique from the rest of his discography, which is always, going to be important, but something that we like to, keep an eye on for adding these songs and to the playlist, and just for what albums we're going to be revisiting as well too. And of course, this time of his career where he has, like we're saying, at this point, been on the rise as a rising star, and that Hardstone Psycho was that moment of, solidifying himself in the game as one of the standout guys. And he is still, of course, in that prime era of his career. He hasn't moved into, like, he's not an old veteran in the game, but he's definitely, do we call him like an all-star? Again, I guess you can't necessarily say that everybody in the middle of their career, at the quote-unquote peak of their powers, is an all-star. But in those all-star type years where, again, he's not the rising star that maybe doesn't get the credit for the other, over the other legacy guys. And he's, again, not in the point of his career where it's like, oh, hey, remember, this Don Toliver used to drop great projects, and this one's actually still pretty good. Like, I kind of like this one. He's not, I guess, what would we, the album 10 or something like that, for any artist at some point. But, this is still going to be, like we're saying, Don Toliver, peak of his powers. He's getting the All-Stars. He's getting the All-NBAs, the tours, the ability to be able to put people onto other artists and actually have, I mean, not to say that he wouldn't have had motion with his features before as well too, like, or wouldn't have helped people with that in the past, but there is just going to be a different gravity to the Don Toliver name and the Don Toliver legacy at this point, again, actually having built up now like kind of a, and I guess it is, you don't want to ever say like a full discography for a guy after 5 albums, because that is, and at the end of the day, all you ever end up getting from a guy, you end up going back, like we're saying, at some point you get to album 10 where it's like, okay, too much, but then at the end, you if you're a fan of the guy, of course, you just love the music at the end of the day, and it's like, okay, I guess, in the Kendrick case, he's been a guy, of course, that is kind of focused on his discography a little bit, but Drake, the other obvious one, is like, is, I guess obviously every Drake project is, maybe if every Drake project didn't start to finish quality in the moment, it's like, oh, is this an instant classic, blah 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 blah. It's like, what still does pretty well in streaming and still has hits all over the place is Drake's back catalog, and not even just like the Take Care era as well too, talking like the Certified Lover Boy is still gonna, it still has plays. Like, people are still bumping that album. That album still kind of has to go into good album territory because it gets played more than an album that's a bad album. So, it's a good album, I guess. Is that our logic? It is what it is. But this is still, this is to that point where, I guess when you've put together 5 albums as an artist, you've kind of had the career at that point. You've done what you've needed to do, I guess, to, like, is that, like we've said for the NBA, if you get to 5 All-NBAs in your career, there is probably a good chance that you're going to end up making the Hall of Fame. And I guess you say, well, what if it's 5 third teams All-NBA? I guess you could say yes. I guess, we could look into the specifics, but if you make 5 third teams, you're probably getting into the Hall of Fame. It is what it is. So again, I don't really think it matters the degree to which you're, in that category in some sense. And it goes kind of like that for albums. Where, and to this, where is, I guess, where we could bring Kendrick back in as an easy example. It's like he only has 6 studio albums, but they're all to such incredible, they all have such incredible quality that you could stack up his discography against any discography of all time. And maybe 4 or 5 albums, it's still like, you're like, okay, a little early to start calling it like that. But again, like, I guess maybe 5, like we're saying, once you start, and Mr. Morale was definitely that step into like, veteran leader of the game, and not, I don't, he's not necessarily in his like Godfather era quite yet, because again, he's obviously reemerged in terms of the pop culture stuff, and not even reemerged, but you've gone to the next level as well too. But in a little, obviously, even more veteran status than a guy like, he's in the Steph Curry, LeBron, like those like mid 30s, where still you're like, okay, they're as good as they were in their prime in terms of the numbers. Maybe the athleticism is like, a teensy bit off for Kendrick. I don't even know what that would be in his music. Like, what would be the athleticism? That would be a little bit, he only dropped 12 tracks instead of 16. It's like, okay, he only played it. He had to take a couple of games, like a little load management or something. Hey, pause. But, I don't even know what the comparison is there. But the point is, it's like Don Toliver has 5 great albums. Like, this man is an all-time R&B, hip-hop, vocal artist in the genre. These are 5 albums that you can go back and listen to. Is that the line? Kind of. But 5 albums that are, in totality, great projects that you can, again, play. Are we counted up right? I'm saying 5 because maybe I'm seeing the deluxe here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And, again, we're just going to set Donnie Womack to the side because we don't have the knowledge to speak on it as much. But, between Heaven or Hell, Life of a Dawn, Lovesick, Hearts to Psycho, and Octane, it's like, undeniable what the discography is at this point. I guess if we want to, comparison is the thief of joy, obviously. But, if you want to continue to start making the runs at the all-time, where are we going to put Don Toliver in the all-time rankings? Again, when we get to album 10, it's like, man, Don Toliver is 10 for 10. Oh, I didn't even realize we're still on the Coensic page here in the back. Shout out. We love cars, though. It is, I guess, did we say earlier we're not the biggest cars guys? But who doesn't love cars? It's just, again, the investing in the knowledge of cars is maybe not our go-to thing. But, yeah. Shout out, again, the career, like we're saying, he has established himself as a Hall of Famer at this point. Whatever that, I guess there is a Music Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that is maybe a little bit more competitive than the NBA Hall of Fame. There's more musicians than there are NBA players. So that is one thing for sure. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is now kind of the one. It's, you know, in I think as there, I guess, should it just be renamed the Music Hall of Fame? Like, we know it is the Music Hall of Fame, so I guess, you know, I guess we could probably get into the political discussion of why they could keep it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, probably not getting changed in the next couple of years. It is what it is. But, you know, in terms of what it obviously represents now, you know, so much broader than that, and has been, you know, obviously for a while, I think, been inducting people of all types of music into the hall. But, you know, I guess if we have a vote, Octane is the final crossing mark, I guess. Don Toliver's in. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Shout out. But I guess, you know, he has brought in those rock and roll elements into his music as well, too. Like we're saying, Heart Zone Psycho. Hey, yo. It is what it is. But, like, you know, I was like Biggie and Tupac are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, you know, is Outkast in the, was that like the class that we were looking at last time? Maybe Tupac and Biggie. I know maybe when we were looking at classes, maybe we saw a class with those guys in it. But regardless, it is what it is. Get Don Toliver in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Shout out. I guess, does it have to be now, or when is the, and, you know, the career, I think it's just more of a timing thing. Like, when does it feel right? Pause. More so than, you know, you have to not drop an album for 7 years and all of a sudden you're active for the Hall of Fame. It is what it is. But shout out, what a win. What a, you know, great album to have songs that are going to definitely be in the mix for 2026. Like we're saying, we are just, you know, going to be running up Don Toliver here. Even, I was a little surprised that he didn't make our top 5. I think we kind of focused a little bit more on the artists that were, you know, obviously we got to the August run and had a lot of great music. We were really kind of just bumping, I guess, Jaden Clips and Kendrick by the end of the year. It is what it is. But, you know, Don Toliver, I guess now with the new music and, you know, just the reminder, it's like, oh yeah, you love this guy. Just go ahead and play some more of his songs. Shout out. So I can already tell you right now, this next week for sure, I guess shout out. We're not just giving him just a week. But I can guarantee that this next week is going to be a pretty heavy Don Toliver week in the rotation. It is what it is. And then, you know, obviously I'm sure it's going to, you know, obviously be in the rotation pause longer than that. Shout out. But yeah, this is another great addition to the Don Toliver discography. We are, yeah. Are we bringing back the mic scale? 10 mics for our guy Don Toliver. Shout out. Our ratings aren't going to mean anything. It is what it is. Our ratings are thumbs up, thumbs down. It's a double thumbs up. Oh, see, now we've already added scale to it. It is what it is. Shout out. The point is you listen to it. You got to give it the listen. You got to give it the listen. And that's the rating, right? The rating, I guess you were listening along, right? So shout out. But, you know, the rating is it worth the recommendation? And it's like, yeah, it is. Obviously, you know, Don Toliver. Shout out. If somebody was like, should I check out that new Don Toliver? And, you know, that's the great thing about music is as popular as a guy is, there is still a tier where, you know, again, it's like I feel like I'm not being disrespectful to be like, there are still people that aren't listening to Don Toliver. It's like, okay, you know, Don Toliver, again, it's like doing arenas and all different stuff. So it's still, you know, it's crossing it into a less than not, you know, type of situation. But there is still that tier of guys where, again, it's like you could have the quote unquote insane popularity and not be in everybody's rotation all the time. You know, there is those selections, obviously, that have to be made. And, you know, I'm even just thinking about comparing, obviously, guys in his tier and his, like, you know, obviously now we're going across all types of music as well too. It's like, ayo, yeah, I guess obviously there are choices that you're going to have to make. But like we're saying, if, you know, you can't actually run into a situation where somebody is still like, should I be listening to Don Toliver? It's like, bro, what are you doing? Yes, you should be listening to Don Toliver. And, you know, there are definitely some artists, you know, that you gotta be listening to because they can play in a lot of different scenarios. And Don Toliver is a, you know, very versatile artist in that way as well too. And, you know, again, just we'll play him in the car when we're buyers. You know, it doesn't matter how many people. That's the test. See, that the scale should be like how many people are in the car. Is this a by yourself? I guess there's different, because I was gonna say like a one person, but that could be, you know, that could just be like a buddy as well too. Like, you know, hey yo, I'm sure, you know, making a quick trip, listen to a couple songs. I admit it. We've done it in the past, you know, and I'm sure it'll happen a couple more times. It is what it is. You know what's really fun? Listening to music in cars. It won't get old. Shout out. So, you know, again, I'm sure it'll stick around in the rotation. You know, that I'm sure that will stick around in the rotation for a while. But is it Alone in the Car song. But again, that could be, you could just be in a different mood when you're driving around. It is what it is. So we'll workshop our scale, I guess, for this and see what happens. But for now, Don Toliver's a 10 out of 10. Shout out. So yeah, great project. Great way to, of course, start the Friday night live stream here. But hey, like we said, we are NBA journalists here on the REMINGTOM pod. It is what it is. So we've got a fun night of NBA hoops still in the background here. Raptors Magic in a battle right now in the fourth quarter. The Knicks victorious versus the Blazers. Josh Hart, back-to-back 20-point games. Our guy's balling out. So don't go anywhere. We've got, like we said, still, a Coensig in the background. Shout out. We've got some fun NBA games to focus on. And who knows? I mean, at any point, Giannis can get traded. So stay tuned. Don Toliver's going to call in and tell us about Melo, and Giannis might get traded live. You'll never know. So we'll be right back. Okay, chat. I think I was wrong about us being NBA journalists. I mean, I guess I wasn't wrong. Hopefully, big picture, we are NBA journalists. NBA is still our number one, our number one priority here on the Rem and Sam pod. But I did forget that there was also a DaBaby album that dropped today. Hey, yo, it is what it is. Tonight we're music journalists. We might have to, I guess, it is what it is. We're throwing, I was going to say, we have to, just shout out. IT makes the rules. They say we have to throw it on. We have to be locked in. So we get to listen to this as well, too. It's like, we have Doomsday in January with Avengers. I almost just called it Doomsday. It is Doomsday. I don't even know what the name of it is now. Avengers Doomsday in Dune Part 3, which I don't know if we should mention because we have to get in on the conversation. A lot of people have been talking about whether or not these movies should move, and I mean I get the idea of the competitive nature of it. Do you want to directly make if people have to choose, and I guess obviously it's like we're gonna be in December, we can't go see both movies, but if people have to choose in December which movie they have to see, I get that. Do you want to either studio, either creative team, anybody in that organization with what those universes have been building for, does anybody want to take a risk with the other one sort of, it's not even outperforming the other, it is neutralizing the other is the problem. And I don't think that is an issue at all, to be honest. And actually, again, I don't know if this is just me being counterculture now at this point, because everybody is asking, it's like, I don't know how these two movies can drop in the same day. Like, how is this even possible? But so again, I don't know if I'm so against hearing it at this point that now I'm zagged the other way. But I kind of admit here, I'm gonna play the DaBaby album because we just gotta get this thing going. If we want to listen to it, we just gotta get it going. So we'll focus on whatever else, and then if it catches our attention, shout out that our guy is still one of the greats. DaBaby, it is what it is. But I again, to go back to the Doomsday point, like I'm saying, I don't know if I'm so counterculture against the fact that, like I'm saying, people are against the two movies dropping the same day, but I kind of want them to drop on the same weekend now. And I don't know if I want every year the two biggest movies of the year to drop on the same weekend and just make it, this undeniable, huge eventized movie weekend. But I am excited about the prospect of just having a weekend where we're going to get Avengers Doomsday and Dune Part 3. And I don't know if it's just, again, like I'm saying, it's just, okay, now I know that this weekend at the end of the year, I can commit to movies in a major way. It's obviously at this point, like you say, it's a little bit of a, it's a little bit more of a gamble, a little bit more of an investment to go to a movie. I mean, obviously word of mouth is still important. I mean, a movie like Sinners was, very, I think, good in like the second, third week type of performances where people were like, no, yeah, obviously you have to go see this movie. And it was still, it was able to accumulate that number instead of like, again, like the massive opening day type of number. I mean, it was successful across all those things. I guess I'm saying now we're talking like Avengers numbers. What movies are in Avengers territory? 2 billion, obviously, totally different thing in that type of scale. But the idea of having that day is actually totally fine to me. And guess what? Take two. Guess what? I think that you can go see one movie one day and then go see the next movie the other day. I think it's a pretty easy decision. And it is, which movie do you go see first? Like, are we going to go see Avengers opening night and then Dune Part 3? Did I just lay out my strategy there? I don't know. But you know what doesn't matter when it goes back to ultimate box office number? It doesn't matter if I went to Avengers on Friday and Dune on Saturday, or if I went to one or the other, or you know what? I may actually go on Avengers on, that Thursday night, opening Thursday night. What if I wait till Monday to go see Dune 3? Oh no. Is Denis Villeneuve not going to take my dollar on Monday? And you know what? Monday isn't even the budget movie day at the theater, in our theater here. That would be Tuesday nights, and we're live on Tuesday nights. So shout out. We're not going to be live from the theater. Well, watching Dune Part 3. If we find an empty theater, chat, we may be doing some experimental content. Experimental content. I don't know, what does that mean? Stay tuned. It's not a Rem and Sam OnlyFans. It's us going to be watching a movie live in the theater and getting kicked out. But I mean, we're movie pirates on the Rem and Sam pod. Shout out. We're gonna get our YouTube channel taken down. Hey, yo, it is what it is. I guess maybe we just launch an OnlyFans at that point if we're gonna get it taken down. I don't know. But what are we talking about, Chad? Dune Part 3? Which of these studios is gonna have to launch an OnlyFans after their movie tanks? I don't know, but I guess what? I don't think either movie's gonna tank. Oppenheimer made $900 million and Barbie made $1 billion. So, again, different times. Hey, the good old days, Barbenheimer. But, hopefully we're still in a place where we can see both movies. And, if it's a viable choice, I guess, like I'm saying, obviously there's probably bigger questions and, obviously great, I guess, problem to have if you're like, oh, well, I can't, how many movies should I be able to go see in a weekend? But I think, to simplify it to, maybe something a little bit larger. But regardless, like I'm saying, I think that the idea that both movies can drop on the same day is actually pretty realistic. It's like albums as well, too. You know what? Album has a first week total. It is, I guess there was, back in the day, a whole argument of like, which DVD, which CD, if we're talking about album, which CD would you pull off the shelf? I'm thinking of like 2013. I don't know if that was still right before streaming. So that's, again, like right at the tail end of CDs. I don't think you're not quite like, I guess you are buying on iTunes and stuff at that point. But is there that, I forget which set of CDs is it? Because I want to say it's that J. Cole, Mac Miller, Yeezus day. Maybe it's our guy J. Cole. I don't know. Shout out. The fall off is going to be the CD now that is sold out. But was Yeezus, was there a picture? I guess here, let's just look up Travis Scott Yeezus real quick. Hey, yo. Because there's a picture of Travis Scott next to a DVD. Or, hey, yo, we keep saying DVD. I guess we just want to watch a DVD after this. It is what it is. I guess we're okay, chat. You talk us into it. We're watching The Bodyguard after this. Shout out. But he's like next to the CDs, and the Yeezus one's all sold out, and the CD, of course, next to it, super popular artist. Again, it might be J. Cole, it might be Born Sinner, is not sold out. Am I just putting Born Sinner on blast for no reason? Hey, yo. I mean, the Bing Google image, the Bing images is not going to get us there. It is what it is. Travis Scott Yeezus CD. Let's go sold out. Or let's just go Travis Scott CD sold out and see what we get. Oh, wait a second. That's not it there. We're just getting posters at this point. This is a disaster. It is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. We might a news article. One last attempt here to see what we get. Amazon sold out. Travis Scott franchise sold out. We're probably just bad at doing Google searches. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, again, regardless, back in the day, like we're saying, maybe you had to make a choice with that type of thing. Hey, if I go to the store, I can only buy one thing. I can only actually physically acquire one thing. And like I said, maybe that is the choice. So maybe I have to reconsider. Like I'm saying, there was fortunately a time at Barbenheimer when we were like, hey, yeah, you know what? We can go see both movies. I mean, now, again, going to the movie, again, it's an experience. It's like you gotta save for it. Especially if you want to like buy a snack at the movies. It's crazy. But regardless, that those movies are going to deliver in some type of way. Obviously, you're going to get sort of, I guess I would hope some type of emotional deliverance. And, hey, pause. I don't know what that means. But, just some type of, it delivers on the emotional ability to bring those characters back, because you're going to get Captain America, you're going to get Steve Rogers and Thor, and then obviously the actor face in Robert Downey for Doctor Doom. I'm assuming that there will be some tie. There's no way there's not a tie into Iron Man there. Hey, yo, I mean, what are we doing? The guy was, the face of the Marvel franchise. The man made like $1 billion playing Iron Man. They're probably gonna bring it up at some point. And I'm sure Steve will be like, Tony, is that you? Obviously, that's so Steve. Something he would do, but and then we know Dune 3 is going to deliver on the quality. We know Dune 3 is going to be a good movie. So maybe if I do have to choose, I might actually see. That's what I'm saying. It does become tricky, because you know what? I guess right now we're being optimistic, like we're saying, yeah, both movies can drop on the same weekend, because obviously we want to go see both movies at the end of the day. And you know what? If we had to pick two movies at the end of the year to go see, like, I don't know if I'm just, leaning into the take at this point, but I would be more committed if I had to choose like one experience to go see. Again, it's 2 movies versus 1 movie, so it's a little unfair to the Odyssey. But I would definitely go see Dune 3 Avengers weekend over the Odyssey. Like, again, if I had to choose. It was like, okay, you can only go to 1 theater experience. Like maybe they'll send me a copy of the Odyssey on opening day and I can watch it at home or something like that. Maybe I still get to see it. But it's like, okay, you're not allowed to go to the theater to watch the Odyssey, but you can go to Avengers you can go to Avengers 5 now? What are we on? Avengers 5 and Dune 3 for free. Maybe that's the deal. I don't know. A weird theater deal. The sponsorships are getting out of control. But I think I would take up that offer. Maybe I'd just take up the 2 free movies. I don't know. But I would, again, be more excited for just that movie experience. And maybe the Odyssey is the best of those 3 movies as well, too. Maybe we look back on the year and we go, oh, the best 3 movies. I guess if Avengers is the 3rd best movie of the year, you know what? That's an absolute win. But if we look back and go, you know what? It's the Odyssey and Dune 3 and then Avengers, in the ranking. Maybe Odyssey, Dune 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. Then we get to Avengers. It's like the 14th, who knows. But, I would be more committed to the 2nd and 14th best movie of the year than the best movie of the year. And I don't know if the Odyssey is going to be the best movie of the year. I would actually be more committed. I don't know if Dune is this the hot take? Is Villeneuve had better movies recently than Nolan? I know that Oppenheimer won Best Picture, and we love Tenet here on the pod. It is what it is. But I think if you went Tenet, Oppenheimer versus what Villeneuve has done, it's pretty close. I'm trying to remember exactly the order of his movies, because of course his last 2 have been Dune 1 and 2. So Dune 1 compared to Tenet, I actually would probably, as confusing as Tenet is, I think it is a little, Dune 1 is kind of slow, so I do think that I would take the confusion. And, the deep sci-fi lore in Dune 1 is almost as confusing as the time management. Hey, who's had more confusing time management in their careers? Andy Reid or Christopher Nolan? We got him, Chad. It is what it is. But, is it more confusing than Christopher Nolan's layout of time in that movie? It's getting there. It is getting there. It's pretty rich in the stuff that they're laying out in Dune Part 1. So at least you get a couple of more action sequences in Tenet. It is what it is. I don't know. John David Washington versus Chalamet. This is the only pop get us. You'll hear an argument, and it says that John David Washington better in Tenet than Chalamet is in Dune Part 1. Dune Part 2 might be a different story. I don't know, but John David Washington in the kitchen fight in Dune 1. In Tenet, is there a kitchen fight in Dune 1? Do they have kitchens in Dune? I don't know. But we're not trying to besmirch the intergalactic universe of Dune. People are gonna be like, hey, don't talk bad about the people. It's like, hey, it's a made up galaxy. It's a galaxy far, far away. Are we allowed to? I guess we'll love the people that did. They're cool. They're cool, and they probably hey, if they bring the spice over here, are we not gonna what are we gonna do? Not it is what it is. I'm sure everybody wants the spice. So yeah, it is what it is. But we're getting too political here on the REMINGTOM pod. But back to Avengers Doomsday, I'm for it. I actually think yes, both the movies should release. And pause. And the other big talking point now, I think the reason that the conversation was being brought up. Shout out to DaBaby. I mean, what is this album? We're Don Julio Lemonade, track 5. It seems pretty, pretty solid so far. Shout out his last project. I guess, was it his last project? His last project that we liked? We'll say that. I don't know. Let's see. Is it his last project? Double checking here. Yeah, the last album that he dropped, How Is This a Mixtape, is a really, 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 really good album. It is what it is. And again, I like his aggressive attempt at, I was gonna say aggressive flows. Hey, pause. I like his aggressive bars and his ability to get he has the balance. Obviously, as a young guy, the old heads are going to be like, of course he's just going to throw out Tupac's name as like, he's going to throw it out there. It's like it's like saying Trae Young, Steph Curry. It's like, okay, it's a smaller point guard that likes to shoot a lot of threes. Is DaBaby, a guy that can have an aggressive rap cadence, but then also get melodic on a song as well too. That he stands out as the number one guy you want to compare people to. So it's respectful in that type of way. But he is, I guess you would say, in that lineage of guys, of people that, again, have that versatility in their catalog. And when he is locked in, I think when he's like really, if it's like, okay, DaBaby, like you actually have to, you actually have to drop a good album type of scenario. Like, Baby on Baby 2, I think he's just, again, I'm looking at his discography, but it's like literally, Be More Grateful, How Is This a Mixtape, Baby on Baby 2. And of course, he's had some EPs and a lot of singles in between Baby on Baby 2 and How Is This a Mixtape and now as well that have been really successful. And, he can get, again, like kind of funky, and there's some fun dance rhythms that you can get to with DaBaby for sure. But, like, when he can go over, he can, again, rap over like a soulful beat or, a trap beat or anything. Obviously, if you're a good rapper, you should probably be able to do that at some point. But, bringing Freddie Gibbs' name back up, like he is in like a Freddie Gibbs type of way. Again, obviously, we all know what DaBaby sounds like. It is what it is. But, I guess we're not going to put Sam in this category. It is what it is. We'll say that I'm pro DaBaby's music. It is what it is. Shout out. And pro DaBaby's cooking videos as well too, because it does seem like he does know what he is doing there. The man is definitely got a lot of talent in a lot of different aspects of life, that's for sure. But again, in cooking and in music specifically, but yeah, and in some specific music projects as well too. But again, you would go through obviously the run from Baby Talk 5 to Baby Talk 5 blank blank, Baby on Baby, Kirk, Blame It on Baby, and then the deluxe is all great. And then how is this a mixtape? So I imagine Marinating. This track's called Marinating. Shout out, I guess. Again, this seems like this is a great track list. Pootie Tang, Don Julio, Lemonade, and Marinating, 3 tracks in a row. I mean, that's great stuff right there. Paper Low, Out Your Business. Only a couple features. It is pretty stacked. 23 tracks. The last track is Kobe in 09. Ayo. The outro, shout out. Title winning season for Kobe. I don't know what you would say for the regular season. You're going like Kobe in 06. Obviously for like, the 80-point game like we rewatched recently, and then the overall regular season that we're having was insane. But, it was winning a couple of titles. Do you say Kobe with Pow in 06 or in 09? I don't know what the track title is there, but yeah, either way, are we Doomsday? What were we saying? Oh, the IMAX thing. The IMAX, back to Doomsday. Ayo, shout out. DaBaby and Dune Part 3 in this conversation. It is what it is. But the Dune Part 3 recently, they secured some type of IMAX contract. So, of course, because of the limited, I say of course, there is like a limited number of IMAX theaters out there, and apparently they can only have one or the other. They can only show Dune Part 3 or Avengers. So at one time. So like when both get dropped opening, and it is apparently pretty important to the box office as well too. Some of the numbers I was hearing was, and I wish I remembered exactly where I'd heard this as well too, so we could give credit to the source. But regardless, the numbers that I was hearing was 5% of theaters are IMAX theaters, but it does account for 20% of the box office. So again, that could go cost association as well too. But I mean, regardless, the facts are the facts. It's a big chunk of the box office. So it will be important to Dune 3 keeping up with Avengers in that first week for it to have right there, with it that IMAX number, I'm sure. But you know what? I'm pretty sure that a lot of people aren't necessarily going to go see Avengers in IMAX. It is what it is. And even when Avengers does drop in IMAX, it will because it's so popular. Like, a $2 billion franchise, I'm sure it can fill up 5% of theaters with fans in IMAX, 3 weeks, 4 weeks after the movie drops. And maybe this was a new Rockstars video that I was watching, but I imagine, if it's Marvel content, it's either them or the Ringerverse. Shout out, are we loyal fans? But the conversation was, would they be able to rebrand it as well to a couple weeks later, in a bigger, better way? Pause. It's like, Avengers being re-released a month later. Ayo. But this sort of second life in IMAX as well too, I'm sure would be very beneficial to that. But I think that totally works out. I think a lot of people are going to have no problem seeing Avengers in a normal theater, and Dune 3, again, the sort of more prestigious film, does seem like it's okay. Again, to compare it to Barbie and Oppenheimer. Like Barbie, I don't think it was the IMAX movie of the two, and it still made more money. So I think as the pop culture, popcorn movie, Avengers is still going to be and I imagine, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, and I'm not saying that, I'm the gauge for every movie, but I didn't go see Deadpool, and Deadpool still made $1 billion. So, it didn't need the Rem and Sam crew from the Iowa side, the little drop in the hat we would have had in our theater, the couple of guys showing up there. But, apparently they didn't need it to get to $1 billion. It is what it is. So I think, I assume that with our handful of tickets now included in the Doomsday group, I assume that's gonna, is this what we mean? We can only go see, is our handful of tickets gonna be, an extra $500 million compared to, but I imagine that movie's gonna make more than Deadpool and Wolverine is. It is what it is. Just the strength of those 3 stars alone in a movie, like, I don't know, in the Marvel universe, are they $1 billion a piece at this point? Like, I don't even know if that's a hot take. I don't even know if that's a hot take. It might be, and it might be an unequal number across. It might be RDJ is, 1.2, 1.3, and then, Hemsworth and Evans are like 900 million each in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But, thinking about it realistically, like, if Thor dropped a solo movie right now, what would that be? Thor 5? There's no way. And I guess Love and Thunder, it wasn't great. So maybe Taika Waititi and Hemsworth, maybe Disney Plus is, maybe we wait for that one. I don't know. But, I think they would get the benefit of the doubt again. And I think that's at least 600 mil. So there's, 7, 8, 9. Does it get to 900 mil again? Maybe it depends. If word of mouth in that movie's good, if Thor 5 is good, there's no way it's not $900 million. And that might be crazy. What Thunderbolts made like 300. Thunderbolts made 300 million. So yeah, Thor might again, and that was good, but I don't think the word of mouth for that movie was great. I think that was just like a little, and that was like some like, the word of mouth I think was the diehard fans that wouldn't go to the theater, like myself, were like, okay, I will actually go see Thunderbolts. Oh, I forgot I went to see Thunderbolts in the theater last year. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was telling him like Sinners was the only movie that I saw in theaters last year. But hey, shout out Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was good. So yeah, that movie delivered as well. But so I mean, again, we're locked in. If we're gonna go see Thunderbolts in the theater, like I said, we're gonna go see Avengers. Well, I guess, does that mean we're gonna go see Dune 3? But if we're gonna go, Sicario, we'll see any Villeneuve, obviously, after Sicario. It is what it is, and he is fortunately been able to deliver great movies since then. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually hoping at this point now, and again, maybe it's been branded this way for a while, so I've kind of gotten, as maybe a culture, we've gotten a little adjusted to the idea that both these movies are going to be in the same weekend. Yeah, I'll start saying the same weekend, because ultimately is going to be what it is. But like I'm saying, I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. Oppenheimer was a lot of fun, and again, I don't think it can be recreated all the time. I don't know what it is about Avengers Doomsday, and is it just the fact that it works for a name like that as well too? But for some, the last Mission Impossible wasn't, that one wasn't very good in terms of the reviews. I have, that's another word of mouth. I haven't even seen that yet. I haven't even bothered, because the reviews are not good. And you know what? Fallout is such a good movie, and it is like a really great final film as well too, that I'm good. I'm good if that's the Mission Impossible. If the Mission Impossible franchise runs to Fallout, I'm fine with that. And I don't even know, has Dead Reckoning Part 2 even dropped yet? See, it's like Fast 10 at this point. Like, I saw on IMDb the other day there was a Fast 10 Part 2, and I was like, what? I didn't even realize Fast 10 was a Part 1. What was happening there? But I haven't even seen Fast 9. So, we're gonna be 5 movies behind in a couple of years. It is what it is. But I don't know why Mission Impossible was the first one that jumped to mind, but there is something, again, about some movies that it seems like maybe it wouldn't work if it was a certain, like Disclosure Day for Spielberg. Like, does Spielberg need another movie? And, again, neither of those movies need each other in a sense, but there is a similarity, I guess, to the genre-ness of them as well too. You wouldn't necessarily think it with Barbie and Oppenheimer, but I think there ended up being more of a crossover than you think. I mean, it could be obviously as simple as it were. It's like the stereotype of like, oh, you go see Oppenheimer for the boyfriend, then you go see, Barbie for the girlfriend, or blah, blah, you go take the kids to Barbie, and then you go see, obviously there is the, like we're saying, you can, the diversity of a family, you can make it work. Go see in multiple movies, I guess. It is what it is. And just, again, the diversity of movie taste palettes as well, too. I mean, the diversity, just you want to see a good movie. So, if Barbie's a good movie, you're going to go see it. It is what it is. But, again, I think those movies are able to play together as well, too, because Nolan, even if it is a historical epic, like, Nolan is a fandom icon. And, now we're just going to be ripping off random conversations we've been hearing on pods. But I was listening to one as too about what franchises are considered. Like, is the John Wick franchise something that you would consider in like a Marvel type of fandom situation? It's like, an action movie is probably in the same category. It is what it is. But, Nolan, because of his Batman ties, plays with that stuff as well too. And Villeneuve, the Dune sci-fi stuff, like that is in that, it is similar to Avengers. And obviously Villeneuve is able to, again, make his films a little extra prestigious. He's a great filmmaker. Are we, I guess we are sitting here saying he's a better filmmaker than the Russos. Hey, a challenge to the Russos to make Avengers even better than a Villeneuve movie. That'd be great stuff there. That'd be, a 96 on the Metascore. I don't know what they would have to get to there to, again, be better than our guy Villeneuve. Obviously one of the top guys. It is what it is. But, for, like we're saying, for those movies, they do play together because the sci-fi elements overlap, and I think the hype of that weekend makes sense as an event. So I think it should be played out at this point where both those movies do drop again in the same weekend. There's no reason to mess with it. It is what it is. Like, let's just make that the movie going weekend of the year. We know it at the end of the year. We're all looking forward. Avengers, we're just calling it Avengers Doomsday now. I guess it is what it is. And I guess Avengers getting the double nod there a little bit maybe again shows the firepower. And of course, like, they've got the countdown clock on the YouTube page. Like, imagine if the Marvel universe had to bend and drop the movie on a different day because they're scared of Dune 3. It's like, why is anybody scared of anybody here in the movie universe? It is what it is. Like we're saying, again, we're not trying to be ignorant to, again, the greater conversation as well. But in theory, you would hope that you'd be able to drop both movies, and both movies would be able to be successful. I guess you could get into, maybe international box offices. Could there be some overlap that could be, negative in the box office either way? I guess I don't know, again, the selectiveness of theaters and stuff going on just throughout. But, I imagine that, again, on any scale, it's going to do fine. So I just, like, immediately... And it makes it easy as well, too, again, just to pinpoint for both those movies. Like, what is the number one movie thing of the year? It is Dune. And maybe, again, I'm just in the bubble now for both those movies. Because I guess, like we're saying, the Odyssey is right there as well. But, the Odyssey is... It's going to be interesting. Like we're saying, Oppenheimer, it's a great movie. Tenet, it's a good movie. Ayo. But, and what was the... Oh, Dunkirk. Dunkirk's a great movie. Dunkirk is a really, really great movie. But Oppenheimer and Tenet, he's not... again, Nolan's not slipping in any way. He literally just won the Oscar for Best Director. But, I don't maybe we've made the Scorsese comparisons in the past. And, Wolf of Wall Street in some ways is, I guess as every bit, can you say as every bit as good as, like, Goodfellas? Obviously, that's crazy. Again, like, those movies they're crazy. I would say Wolf of Wall Street might be a better movie than Casino. That's a tough one. It has more iconic elements at this point. Again, like the actors themselves, just because of their lineage, shout out. It is what it is. You got to pay respect to the, you got to pay it for you. Can you say pay it backwards? Is that appropriate? Do we have to pause that? I'm not sure. But, you have to pay it, I guess just pay it back, right? You have to pay it back a little bit to the legends. And, again, with respect to De Niro, or with respect to DiCaprio, are we saying the right names here? Leo DiCaprio? Who's in Departed? Ayo. Or Wolf of Wall Street. With respect to DiCaprio and Margot Robbie, like, again, you got to give respect to Sharon Stone and Robert De Niro. And Al Pesci, who's that guy? Joe Pesci? Al Pacino, Joe Pesci combined, I guess, is Al Pesci. That's a fun actor. Whoever that guy is, I guess I never really considered could Joe Pesci have been in any role that Al Pacino had been in, chat? Hey, yo, my brain just broke. Could Pesci have been in Heat next to De Niro? You're gonna say, Pesci, is he too short? I don't know. I don't think so. Pesci was a major star, I think, just fine. So, I kind of think, would Heat have been a little bit of a different tone if Pesci was in it compared to Pacino? But I think Pesci could have done all the same stuff. I don't know. Give me all you got. I think he could have gotten there, Chad. I think he could have gotten there. We're gonna get a soundboard just to get it. We're gonna have an Al Pacino only soundboard on the Rim and Sam pod. That'll be us adding post moves for 2026. Our fadeaway jumper is gonna be an Al Pacino soundboard. And of course, we all know what the number one is. It is what it is. I mean, again, we're a family show, so there's maybe other quotes in there that, we'd have to put up some warnings before, we start dropping the, she's got a great, it's like, hey, who's in the car over here? But, otherwise, for the most part, give me all you got, I think is a good way. You can get killed walking your doggy is iconic as well too. Oh, chat, we're gonna be up all night just watching movies, I guess. What did we say we're watching earlier? I forget. It doesn't matter. We're watching Heat now. Has it been a month? I think it's been a month. I think it's time. So we are, I guess, gonna have to get that one going as well too. But yeah, shout out. We're excited. We're excited. It's gonna be good that weekend. I think for both those movies, it's gonna be good for the. Is it gonna be good for the industry? If again, things aren't gonna go poorly because both those movies are dropping on the same day. It'll be a reflection of Hollywood. Again, the economy. It'll be a reflection of something else. And if those movies have to move because of that, then I guess that's a different reason altogether. And again, that conversation could be had when those things have to happen, I guess, or if those things had to happen. But if hopefully all things considered, we're able to get to a normal spot in December. You would hope that again, both those movies would be able to make an iconic weekend out of it. And for it to be something special again, and again, like anything, I think it'll have its time. Again, maybe 2027 we'll get another one. 2020, I guess. What was Barbenheimer 24 or 23? We don't even remember now at this point. 24, 23. So it has been a couple of years. A good time. Maybe in 2028 we'll get another double movie day. In that type of way. And again, it's the preset thing as well too, because sometimes you maybe get to a day and you're like, oh, hey, we got a couple of movies. We didn't realize we were going to get these movies, but the hype is built and all of a sudden it's become something iconic. But for the movies to benefit each other, and I think it was all chat, we're losing the voice is going here. Shout out Don Toliver is gonna be shout out, the guy's able to go through a whole album, no voice cracks. How is that possible? Is he taking breaks in between the songs? I don't know, but I think it was all planned from the beginning. Conspiracy theories over here. Hot take. I think they wanted to drop those movies together. It's competitive. Yes, Warner Brothers and Disney, they're competitive. They're I guess at every turn trying to tear each other. I don't know. I'm sure it's all brutal business over there. It is what it is. Or, they all like making money and they saw what happened before and they're like, hey, maybe this can work. And maybe was the Barbie thing the same studios? I guess HBO, they're both on no, Barbie's on Peacock. No, oh no, because Nolan left. That's what it was. Oppenheimer would be on Peacock because Nolan went to Universal, or maybe is Universal on HBO. Now we're lost in the weeds on what studio goes to what streaming service. But I think Nolan was the one that left Warner Brothers. So I guess if Barbie was not Universal, then obviously it wasn't. Did Greta Gerwig leave? I don't know. But either way, yeah. Point being, it'll be exciting. And again, I can't even. And I'm just I'm blanking on the list now as well too. But I'm trying to even think of what the other exciting movies are for the year. It is what it is. I've just got blinders on. It's like, okay, well, I know that that's the event that I'm going to, so I don't even need to worry about anything else. I've got my movie event set in stone. Dune 3. I guess I was about to say Austin Butler in Dune 3. Have been excited this whole time for Austin Butler in Dune 3. I'm like, oh wait a second. We have to go back and rewatch Dune 2. Spoiler alert. I guess if you haven't seen Dune 2, it is what it is. But can they get a flashback scene? Will there be a couple flashback scenes in Dune 3 to Dune 2? I don't know. Some multiversal Dune 3 movie where they bring in another Austin Butler, Villeneuve with the multiverse could be pretty crazy. We have to now go, I guess, and see what what's the additional cast now for Dune 3, because that was the fun hype of Dune 2 was like, oh, obviously Dune 1 was stacked. We're bringing in, who else? at this point. Like, I still love the, and I hopefully I'm going to say the name right. Shout out, because we've been, James Bond now on Netflix. Hey, yo, an iconic cast member of the James Bond series, but Lea Seydoux is the Bond, is Madeline Swan, of course, in the Spectre Bond movies, and then is just in Dune 2 for like 2 scenes, just I want to say just doing nothing, like literally nothing, but she's just in the movie and just crushes. I honestly, in the whole Harkonnen fight scene at the beginning is just, it's just incredible stuff. It is what it is. Skarsgård, of course, is, at the peak of his powers right now. Literally, I was gonna say, just won the Oscar. What are we, we're back from the future, Chad. It is what it is. But back from Polymarket, is he leading in the odds? So, he's at the peak of his powers right now, like we're saying. He's awesome in that scene. Like, was Austin Butler. And just got Leia said, you just got her, just, plans with him, and plans is like her only line in the movie. It's like, okay, shout out. But, she's cast in it. It's great stuff, and she's like, if there's one person that you can bring in for a plans within plans, it's her. It could have been improvised as well, too. Who knows? And, with rewatching her in the Bond movies, chat, hey, yo. I guess we'll put her on the our 2026 theater visits will be for Doomsday and Madeline Swan. It is what it is. Is she still alive? She doesn't get killed off in Dune 2, right? No, she's fine. So maybe she might be in Dune 2 because she's more important in Dune 3. But I'm not gonna lie, I looked up the Wikipedia after watching No Time to Die. I had to look up the Wikipedia the other day of this character. I was like, what does this character do in the books? Like, does she, again, not to be disrespectful of any, specific characters. Again, I'm for casting her in the movie, like, have her there. Shout out. It is what it is. I'm trying to remember what movie. Oh, Oppenheimer. Rami Malek is just in it for like, like a minute. It's like doesn't even show up until like the last scene. He's just like in the first scene, just not even there till the last scene. But again, I don't remember what she did at the end of the movie. But regardless, maybe her character is more important for Dune 3. I guess the Wikipedia didn't seem too hopeful for that. But shout out, again, it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. Do we have to mention the fact that James Bond is on Netflix now? It is what it is, because I don't. Is that part of the? When I first saw that, I was like, is this part of the acquisition of Warner Brothers and all that library stuff? I guess because they're MGM maybe. I don't know. We start getting into the subdivisions of this stuff. We're not as locked in. Maybe again, I guess we're budding movie journalists at this point. Not quite, as licensed as we are in the NBA journalist territory these days. But yeah, I was like, if this is what this means, if this means James Bond's on Netflix, like, it's, I guess, all still on streaming to some degree at this point. But I was like, okay, this doesn't seem too bad. You pay all, I guess, what does it mean for the future of the industry? But I guess I do get access to the James Bond movies all the time. So that is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. And I do have to say, we did do the 25 for 25 ranking at the end of the year, of course, or I guess we did it at the beginning of the year. We did it at the beginning of January. Or no, did we do the album? Regardless, at the turn of the year, we did the 25 for 25 movie list for looking back at the 21st century. And Skyfall was way up there in the top 5. Again, speaking about it with somebody at work, I told somebody that it was in my top 5 movies, and I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, wait a second. I was thinking about the top 5 list that we were doing on the pod. I was like, I don't think it's in my top 5 all time. It might be in the top 10. Is it actually over Scarface all time? I don't know. But again, I guess we're different technologies, different styles of movies. But of course, every element of Skyfall is perfect. Hey, who are we to sit here and criticize one of the great movies of all time? But it is one of the great, like, shout out Roger Deakins as well too. But one of the great, like, cinematography action movies. And as I'm watching No Time to Die, it's like, man, this is in, researching the cinematography there as well too. It is, if I get the name right, Linus Sandgren, who was also working on La La Land. So if you watch some of the stuff in No Time to Die, some of the work with, shout out The Color Purple, but some of the work with The Color Purple in the movie No Time to Die, you can see it, of course. And La La Land is like a very purple movie, so it's obviously, and I guess we love that aesthetic because it's, La La Land is just a, the scenery in La La Land, like the sky. La La Land has the best sky in any movie. Like, Linus Sandgren is just tearing up the sky there in the cinematography. I don't know if it's almost to the point where it's like they might be painting this in Photoshop. Not to say that it looks Photoshop, but it's like, it's so colorful. It's like, I don't even know how you extract this does color even exist in real life? This type of vivid imagery. But there is a opening scene with the skyscraper in No Time to Die where it's like there's just like a purple sky in the back. It's like, oh yeah, I guess La La Land if La La Land was an action movie, if La La Land was going after the Hercules project at some point. But I think that might actually be the best looking Bond movie now at this point. I think that, of course, story and acting still goes to Skyfall, and pacing and all that stuff. Like, No Time to Die does get slightly, it's 2:43. So, again, if you're going to sit down and, lock in the whole time, then it's going to be a task. It is what it is. Make no mistake, that's a Sunday afternoon, for sure. But if you're just watching scenes, it has, of course, great scenes, great looking scenes. And it does, for a 2:44, it's got a lot of useful parts. Like, I'm sure, I'm not saying it's perfect. Like, I'm sure there is some stuff you could trim out of there, but it is kind of almost pushing the other way where it's like, maybe almost a deleted scene or two, and maybe that's another one. You need more Rami Malek in that movie. I don't know, but I've watched the opening of that movie like 7 times since it's dropped on Netflix. Like up through the opening heist of the Hercules project is just some of the best looking any movies. It's just some of the best looking movie that you'll see. The opening scene into the snow and the way that that's shot as well too. That's director camera work in there as well, and the editing with the jump scare. It's almost like a horror movie type scene. And then Jamal Murray just dribbled it off his ankle. Hey, yo, whoa, hey, whoa. Pause. What are we talking about? Basketball over here. They're playing the Clippers. It is what it is. But hey, yo, that was a random pivot. It is what it is. But it is one of those still like random funny things that happens in an NBA game where it's like, oh yeah, they'll just lose a dribble every now and then. Hey, yo, pause. It is what it is. And do we have to talk about this clip? Hey, rest in peace, of course, Kobe. But do we have to talk about this clip of Cindy Crawford talking to Kobe on a talk show that we saw? I don't know. If you saw the clip, you know why we would be bringing it up now after what we were talking about. Not Doomsday and not Linus Sandgren, but the Jamal Murray comment there. Hey, yo. So just, it's really easy to find. Cindy Crawford, Kobe. It is what it is. It's a talk show, just to, again, clarify. And, rest in peace, Kobe. With all respect. Again, and not to put anybody in a bad light or anything, but it's just, it's a crazy clip. It's a crazy clip. We're a family show, so we won't play it here. But, yeah, it is what it is. But, yeah, of course, like we were saying, our hot take right now is No Time to... And I think it might be in our I don't want to say, like, would we rather watch it right now than Skyfall? But, like we said, Skyfall's been out all these years, like a decade at this point. But for us, it's been in our rotation our whole lives, essentially. So... again, now, No Time to Die as the newer movie, it is just, like we always kind of go there with the, pause, the freshness of it. We still have more time to run that up at this point. And then, down the road when it's all evened out, it'll be like, yeah, again, Skyfall's still the better movie. But if I had to watch one right now, I think I'd just throw on No Time to Die again and just rewatch. I might be like too rewatch. I need to rewatch Skyfall again. It is what it is. But GoldenEye, I forgot the opening for GoldenEye is great as well too. A lot of if you really get locked in on the opening scene, then it's like, well, oh yeah, I guess we can't sit here and watch the whole movie. It is what it is. But the opening scene of GoldenEye when he jumps off I forget, he just like jumps off this really tall building with like a bungee cord, and then somehow does like a Mission Impossible, like what's the right term for like a pulley system? I forget. I don't even know what the term I'm looking for is there, but has the wires kind of guide him down into the bottom of the tunnel. And it's one of those jumps where you're like, even with the bungee cord, if he just jumped off of this tower and then just, got to the end of his rope, like he would probably die. I don't know what kind of recoil he would have to survive. And then if he did, he'd probably just end up slamming into the side of this building. So he might have to, honestly, the best way might have been like a free solo scale down situation, but it's Bond, so he made it work. And then, I'm sure you've all seen GoldenEye, but he's trapped in the middle of this like chemical weapons facility and surrounded by, of course, the bad guys. So he has to get a cart stacked with the barrels of the chemical weapons and hide behind the cart and move it across the room slowly so they don't shoot the barrels of the chemical weapons and get to the other side of the room. I mean, it sounds like genius stuff, but the execution of it is more, it looks like a scene where like, if like a guy ever like doing like a stakeout, if you ever see like a detective in like a stakeout in a movie, he's like disguised as like a bush or something, and he's got to like run across the scenery, and it's like the bush is like it'll like move a little bit and then stop, and like move a little bit more and then stop. That's what Bond is doing with this chemical weapon, and like they're all watching him as well too. He's not being sneaky. It's not like, where is Bond? We can't find him. Oh, wait a second. Have you noticed that barrel moving across the room? It's like all the guns in the room are pointed at Bond, and he's just like in this cart of barrels, just like moves across the room, stops, moves across a little bit, stops. It's like, okay, but it works. He gets the other side. Spoiler alert: there's a conveyor belt over there. He gets on the conveyor belt, right out the building, as you do, able to drop the chemical weapons right on the bad guys, right as you would. Somehow they're able to, and then this might be one of the great opening actions. This might be right up there with MI2. Speaking of Free Solo, Tom Cruise, Free Solo in the beginning of MI2, but this might be right up there with MI2. His great movie openings, where he then has to, he jumps in a plane while it's on the runway. This honestly might be the greatest plane scene. I forgot about this, but this might be the greatest plane scene in movie history. I think that before, I would have thought it would have been we tread lightly here, obviously, but I guess anything in flight, obviously Denzel, is that the greatest plane movie ever? I don't know. But the opening of The Dark Knight Rises is the greatest, well, I guess now Tenet as well, too. But plane in the air action sequence, because Tenet is still on the runway, technically, but the opening of The Dark Knight Rises, where Bane hijacks the plane and hijacks the doctor out of the plane, is just the best plane action sequence of all time. It is what it is. There's really no debating. I mean, I guess, again, is there something in, I guess there's like, again, like diving scenes and stuff, but in terms of, maybe something from Executive Decision, Air Force One, I'm blanking for a second on plane movies. I gotta recall here. Is there something in Airplane maybe that's a better scene? I don't know. But, again, unless it's, Harrison Ford hanging out the back of the presidential plane there. Otherwise, yeah, it's The Dark Knight Rises. But it might be, and now I'm lost in the weeds now. What plane movie are we even talking about? Bond. We're talking about Bond, GoldenEye. It might be this scene in GoldenEye now, where, and I don't think we did a good job of describing the Bane scene, but you've probably all seen it, where they fly over the plane with the bigger plane, and they clip the smaller plane's wings, tilt the plane upside down, pop the top of the plane, and then, they parachute wire down situation into the plane, grab the doctor out, pull themselves back up into the plane. Bane, of course, has the iconic line of, "No, they have to leave one of us in the wreckage, brother. The fire rises." So they didn't have a guy with the Bond. They didn't have a guy in the Bond movie with the Bane voice saying the fire. They should have had Bond, as he throws the guy out of the plane, he should have said, "The fire rises." But regardless, he throws the guy out of the plane. But as they both get tossed out of the plane. So the plane is going down the runway with nobody in the plane. The runway, at the end of the runway, is a cliff. So the plane's going to fall off the edge of the cliff. Bond gets on the motorcycle, drives toward the plane. The plane does fall off the edge of the cliff. But fortunately, it can glide a little bit. So Bond also falls off the edge of the cliff, off the motorcycle. A little, like we said, we haven't seen the new Mission Impossible yet, but it does, I guess, remind us of that scene from the trailer that we saw, where Tom Cruise is like flying off the motorcycle, flies off the edge of the cliff, parachutes down as the plane is falling down the cliff, somehow catches up to the plane. I don't know, we turn into Neil deGrasse Tyson here and start talking about, hey, probably can't do that, but start talking about science anyways, is what we mean. Just a lab coat, but somehow is able to catch up to the plane and get into the plane, and then able to, of course, maneuver the plane up into the air before it crashed into the ground. It's great stuff. I guess, I was going to say Mission Impossible, speaking of, but that's helicopters. It's a helicopter fight in Mission Impossible Fallout. And, the plane that they're in, they do the halo jump out of is cool, but it's not a plane scene. It's a halo jump scene. So, again, different categories there. Which movie did I reference earlier? Is Gary Oldman the villain? Is that Air Force One? Because Executive Decision, I forget who the actor is in Executive Decision, but it's not Gary Oldman. Unless Gary Oldman is just, his most method of all time. Hey, But yeah, I think that might be Air Force One. So that's just a funny scenario. That's just a funny scenario. So yeah, maybe that one. I guess I don't know if you say that's the best, but that one is, you know, I guess just definitely the most comical villain in a plane movie. It is what it is. What is he like a Romanian terrorist in that movie? He's shout out Gary Oldman again. Just he can really conform to whatever whatever you need. He'll be Abraham Lincoln or a Romanian terrorist. Shout out. But yeah, obviously again, shout out to the Bond franchise now on Netflix. It is what it is. A good chance to go back and watch Connery. Still a little, as much as we love Bond, it's like, do we watch Skyfall again, or do we go watch like a Roger Moore James Bond, or there's like a Timothy Dalton is the other one where it's like, I don't know, do we spend our time there? I don't know. But yeah, I think we'll at least toss him on in the background, give him the watch time. It is what it is. I'm sure they need it. Shout out. But yeah, shout out, of course, Linus Sandgren. It is what it is. And it was one of those like things where it's like, oh yeah, of course this guy would be like the greatest of all time. It's like, obviously this movie's awesome. Like, it's not some new person, I guess, that we get to see. I thought we were gonna like, hey yo, here's a new name, a new cinematographer in the game. Obviously, I guess if you're doing the James Bond franchise, you're probably not super new. But that director, that was kind of his first big movie as well, and he is more producer, I think, into that side of things. So a lot of stuff on his IMDb was produced and stuff by, but had a couple directing things that looked interesting in the future. But yeah, I guess January is James Bond month. It is what it is. Not in like a rewatch, not in a content standpoint. I guess we're not. Who knows? We might just end up watching a James Bond movie on the live stream. It is what it is. It might just end up happening. But I guess in the personal lives of the off-screen lives of the REMINGTOM pod, it is a James Bond month to start 2026, to start the new side of the next 25 years, the next quarter century, I guess, for the start compiling the list. Where's No Time to Die gonna be? It's gonna be, I guess that's 20. That'd be in the previous spot, but maybe in the updated 25 for 25 revisit. Who knows when we do that? Hey yo, next week we gotta put No Time to Die up in the 25 for 25. It is what it is. Now see, still 2020. There's still not necessarily a movie out of the 2020. Out of the 20, and again, we had Skyfall, so we do get Bond into the watch list, but it could definitely make its way up for sure. No Time to Die is great. It might be, I think, speaking of The Dark Knight Rises, maybe this is even a hotter take. What did I say earlier? Best looking Bond movie. I guess that's, again, considering that Sandgren, you could maybe, I don't know, we'll get somebody. Do we need a cinematographer analyst on here to debate Sandgren versus Deakins in an all-time battle? I don't know, but I'm sure there's arguments that could be made there. But for the quality of the movie, is No Time to Die a better sequel / end to a set of movies than the Dark Knight Rises? Hey yo, I guess it's not. Skyfall's not really in the trilogy in a way. Obviously it's more like Casino Royale, Spectre, and No Time to Die, and that's what makes Skyfall kind of nice as well too, is that you don't have to really know anything about the greater Bond universe to understand that movie as well. It's easy to recommend, and obviously it's just a great watch, so it pays off if people haven't seen it as well too. It's obviously like recommending Don Toliver. Like, yeah, they probably have seen James Bond, but you're like, oh yeah, maybe Skyfall has slipped through the cracks a little bit. Pause for some people for movies that they haven't seen yet. But I don't know, do we have to mention some NBA at some point? I feel like I had another James Bond tank in there that we needed to mention. Doomsday, we mentioned that. Hey yo, IT, what else are we missing? Do we need to fire Netflix back up and see what's going on there? I don't know, but yeah, hey yo, maybe we have to talk about NBA, because we do have Clippers. Like we said, Clippers versus Denver. Jokic is supposed to be back tonight and healthy, so the return of the scary Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference is definitely a real thing. We'll see how the adjustment, of course, for them having to, not for them going back, to their normal roles, but the tolerance, of course, the weight taken off the barbell, if you could say, in a sense. Where now it's just obviously a little bit lighter of a responsibility for everybody. Obviously, Jokic makes everybody's life easier, but just getting that function of a player back into the offense as well too. But Kawhi is cooking right now. I guess I don't know who he just cooked. The closed captioning was kind of covering it up, but because it was at the corner, the left baseline corner from the top. If you're looking from the top, the left baseline, so kind of at the top of the screen where they were running into, I guess, the little closed caption bars there. But of course, the Clippers making waves because they were literally making a fan eat their words recently because they said and it's one of those, like, are we AI generating previous tweets? We might be, because I think it might have been in reference to something. I guess I didn't see if it was like a retweet or so, a reply for something. But this guy had commented in, like, if the Clippers go like 17-3 over any stretch of the season, then he would literally eat this tweet. Here, let's look it up real quick and see what we got. Because again, it was like a weirdly specific thing. Like, I guess that is still like a 20 game mark. So I guess, 15-5 is obviously great for a 20 game stretch. You'll take that. But 17-3 is obviously like, okay, probably, could you win the title if you went 15-3. Okay, yeah. So see, it's still, why 3 losses? I don't understand. Again, it's obviously over that course of a stretch, pretty good. But yeah, Clippers. Man said he'd eat his tweet if the team. He said he would print off the tweet and eat it if he went for 15-3 over the stretch. Robert Flom, Clippers blog writer. Oh, that's why, because he's just a creative guy. It is what it is. I guess we're just reading off of the Google AI here, but shout out Roger Flom. I guess the barrier to entry for your blog is Google AI, but the team's success has been attributed to everyone. Okay, yeah, we don't need to read that, but the prediction was confirmed as the Clippers achieved their goal. Predicted that if the team achieved that stretch, he would print and eat 2-24 on the season. Hey, yo. So, I mean, that tells me that, like any season, of course, the peaks and valleys of a Clippers season are real. They've literally, we could filter that out. I imagine that over the last 18 games, that probably is the best record in the NBA. Did anybody by chance go 16-2? We're not writing it off, but I'm just saying there is a good chance that they were probably the number 1 team there, and they're still below 500 on the year. So it shows you that even at their best, they're still they're still below average team. No, they're still, having to make up from what their low mark of the season could be. And that is obviously, their guys weren't playing, health, blah, 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 blah. But, hey, yo, it's the same sort of time loop, the one thing that is consistent in the multiverse is this, like, what America Chavez, I guess, what was her thing? Like, she's the only one of herself in the multiverse? Is that what it is? She has no variance? Because she doesn't dream, right? I guess we have to go back and watch Multiverse of Madness now as well, too. It is what it is. But do the Clippers have no variance? Because they literally, they have a ton of variance, but somehow they're all the same. The variants are all the same. A ton of timelines, a ton of different scenarios, but it's somehow literally all the same repetitive scenario over and over again. I guess, in a sense, again, we don't read a ton of comics. I guess we don't read comics at all. But I guess that could just be the idea of how a lot of those stories work. It's like, all these characters are destined to these sort of outcomes in a way. So, and in the NBA, we do have that with these teams to some degree. I know, teams are able to change that in some sense. Speaking of Denver, you draft a guy like Jokic. Obviously, he was able to bring them their first title. We've had a stretch here where, we did have Jokic win their first title, but their first title in a really long time. Of course, speaking of Kawhi, he brought Toronto the first title to that franchise. I mean, Devin Booker, that Milwaukee versus Phoenix series, Devin Booker and Phoenix could have been Chris Paul's, DeAndre Ayton could have been Mikal Bridges. I guess we got to mention everybody. I don't know, but they could have, if that team had Dylan Brooks, would they have won the title? I don't know why I just randomly thought about that because he's on the Suns now. But, either way, what were we saying there? That could have been a first-time title winner in Phoenix as well. So, it has been a little bit, there has been the ability to break through in that type of way. Golden State had a down stretch for a long time and then, of course, revitalized with Steph Curry and with those guys and with the new ownership group. And, again, obviously, it's all, like a lot of things, stems from the top down. So you get these ownership groups that are there forever and you just go, the Clippers have been, bad for forever. How is that possible? But that, immediately you would say, well, they have switched ownership groups and, it has worked to some degree. There have, the stadium has been great. They have had, again, they spent all their money, I guess, but they do have stars. They do have stars. They do have as well too, I guess, the ability to make us think that they could win the title. Like, that is still a tier of team. Like, as good as, who's like a good team this year? Like, as good as Cleveland, I guess, like, truly, has Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell and, like, is Cleveland truly closer to winning the title than the Clippers? I guess you would say yes, but maybe no as well too. Like, there is also a playoff unproven thing either way. Again, and it goes to the limit of who is. Maybe the better question is who is proven to win a title. Of course, that becomes the bigger debate. But the fact that Ballmer is now just, because it does seem like Ballmer is a good owner. Like, he is willing to spend money. He is, it seems like he gets, good creative people. I get, Ayo. There's still, and that is a major thing as well too. Is there is still a handicap just in terms of assets and in terms of the cap flexibility and all the stuff of what they can do because of, again, the moves they made in the trades and signing their guys. But, I mean, looking at their coaching staff right now, the cameras on their coaching staff, you've got Tyronn Lue and Jeff Van Gundy on your coaching staff. Like, this should work. This should work. I mean, again, the infrastructure should work. You cannot blame that. You cannot blame that. But we might have to take a break here. We might have to take a cough drop break at some point. I don't know. But, this has to work for what they have set up. But, again, you could say, oh, well, it's just the luck of the players. It is what it is. But, again, this is the Clippers. This is the Clippers. This is the franchise history. And I know that there are, shout out Bill Simmons, I guess half a shout out, for taking the pod to Netflix. It is what it is. But, shout out, I guess, do we say shout out to the old Bill Simmons? That's what it is, Chad. Shout out to the old Bill Simmons for, the YouTube, what do we say? The ESPN YouTube days. Because we obviously respect the Grantland. I guess for us personally, we really started listening to the pods after the ESPN days. I want to say maybe like 2017-ish. So, yeah, it would probably, it would, I guess he wouldn't have been, would they have been Ringer at that point? Early Ringer. I remember when they formed the website and stuff, all like that. So, hey, the good old days, chat, the memories. It is what it is. But, yeah, so I would say for the podcast YouTube run, shout out to YouTube Bill Simmons. It is what it is. Shout out to the old Bill Simmons. But, yeah, of course, his, mocking of the Clippers franchise is, within these very, obviously pointing out these stereotypes that are very evident year to year with what happens with these Clippers teams. And I have, maybe the confidence that the basketball community has in the other way now will be the thing that flips it. But, if that's what it is, then maybe finally, right? Like, something, the thing that needed to change was our expectations of the team. I guess that's not probably a good thing at the end of the day. But who knows? If that were somehow able to power them to a better team, I don't know. But, and do we want to see Kawhi win another title? We're not going to root against anybody's success. I'm just saying that I'm sure if we started making the list of NBA players that we wanted to win the title, Kawhi would not be the first name that we wrote down. We'd probably write down, so like the idea of the Clippers franchise, like, being successful, it is, and, game 7, 24, like there are reasons why, we maybe hold some animosity toward the Clippers franchise. I guess we didn't trade for DeMar from the Clippers, but regardless, I'm not like sitting here being like, oh man, like I kind of do hope the Clippers franchise like turns around. Like the Jets, for example. I guess the Jets did eliminate the Colts in the playoffs a couple times, but we do hold that against the Chargers. So I hold that a little bit more against the Colts as well. But we were able to also get revenge. Like the Chargers, we lost to back-to-back years. The Jets, we did lose to one time that we should have, but we did also win against the Jets in the playoffs. So, we were able to get revenge against the Jets. It is, but the Jets also beat Peyton Manning in like 0-2 as well too. So the one franchise that they've been able to take down is the Colts. It is what it is, but in the playoffs. But like the Jets are one, or like the Lions, we got Lions fans in our lives. So like, I guess we'd be happy if they were happy from a fandom standpoint, but from, I guess, not over us. But, if they had one season in there where it was okay, it's like, yeah, it's fine, I guess. They can have one. It is what it is, Well, and since, like, and shout out to Champ, I guess, we can call him out. You all know Champ's a Lions fan. Since he doesn't have an NBA team, there is that scenario where it's like, the Spurs could win a title in the same year that the Lions could win a Super Bowl. So it's like, from a sports fandom standpoint, obviously, we want the Colts to win the Super Bowl as well. But we could also have a championship experience in another sport. So, again, it's like, if say, Anthony Richardson needs a season behind Phillip Rivers, to develop as a quarterback, this was the Lions' window. So going into next year, if Anthony Richardson's our starter, then, we'll be cheering for the Colts to win the Super Bowl, obviously. If he's not, does that mean we're not? No, of course we will be locked in. I guess it'll just be our expectations, or if Anthony Richardson is the starter, win the Super Bowl. I guess I don't know. We just need. I guess Anthony Richardson would be up on our list of guys that need to win a Super Bowl. But is that our hot take? Anthony Richardson, the next Sam Darnold. It's Anthony Richardson, chat. We found him. It is what it is. And maybe, I guess, no, Sam Darnold didn't win a Super Bowl on the Niners, because the Niners didn't win a Super Bowl. But made 2 Super Bowls. So is that our hot take? Is Anthony Richardson the first quarterback out of that class to make a Super Bowl or playing a Super Bowl? Or so? I guess it's Stroud, Richardson, Bryce Young, and Will Levis. So it's not a hot bunch at this point. It is what it is. We'll see, if Stroud's able to bounce back. Maybe Levis. Is Levis the next Sam Darnold? Hey, my brain's broke. Somebody out there is going to be like, that's a good take. Actually, I'm not a big Will Levis guy, but something about the take feels kind of, it's like, there's like a 0.5% of it where it's like, if Will Levis, I guess if anybody was in the Shanahan system, who knows? Like we're saying, Anthony Richardson in the Shanahan system could potentially put up 200 yards in a game. Who knows? It is what it is. But I don't even know. IT, what's up next on the board? Oh, this is another just random. We're just firing off random takes on a Friday night. It is what it is. I don't even know if this is one that's, do we have to do an NFL draft take at this point? I don't know. But I did just randomly think about this when I was thinking about something for college football. I guess we were listening to the Ringer Tailgate pod. It's just Rem's React to Pod's Corner. It is what it is. But they were talking about transfer portals, and this is because we're pro Chambliss as well too in our draft talk here, I guess, on the Rem and Sam pod. So yeah, we're just moving corners right now. It is what it is. Movie fans, welcome in. Draft fans are shuffling in quick. Next, the classes are just, there's no time to change classes. The students are hitting each other out the door. It is what it is. We got the changeover. I guess, we didn't go to school, chat. It is what it is. So we don't know anything about classrooms. But what are we saying here? Chambliss. I was thinking, if Chambliss was the starter for Miami, would they have won the national title? Because that game, again, was really, really close. And I don't know what that would say about the draft list. But, I don't even know if, again, Chambliss is going to go into the draft at this point because he's still trying to go back to Ole Miss. But if somehow Chambliss, you're watching, buddy, go to the NFL. I'm just saying. I think it'll work out. I think you'll be okay. And, again, I guess it's not like what are we sitting here with insider information, be like, we're hearing things, Trinidad Chambliss is going to be a top prospect. But it's just one of those things. You're just watching the tape. You're looking at the list of the guys in the classes. It's just one of those things. You're watching the tape. You're looking at the guys in the classes. You're looking at the options. It's like, I'm sitting here thinking that Chambliss might be the second best one. And I imagine that if the focus could potentially be on the high end ability that he had in the playoffs as well too, it could really skyrocket his potential. And again, obviously that Miami team was really, really good. So I don't want to, sit here and criticize Carson Beck, who did make a ton of great plays. And yes, Carson Beck had a very decisive throw at the end of the game. Make no mistake. But, I guess that's the type of play where it's like, could any quarterback throw it in? I mean, Josh Allen, I guess, is Carson Beck Josh Allen, but, neither of them have national titles. That's what it is. But, great quarterback. If Carson Beck had the career in the NFL that Josh Allen had, what a great career. I think we'd all, with respect to Carson Beck, be a little stunned at that point. But, even a quarterback that could be a top 5 quarterback in the league can still throw a pick at the end of the game in a regular season game or in the national title, who knows, to lose the game. But did he execute a lot of big plays when they needed him to? Absolutely. For the most part, would the overall ceiling and what the team had been on the season had changed if another quarterback had been there? Again, no, because they were literally in the national title game driving to win. But so, again, it's like, does Chambliss throw a pick in the last drive there? Like, Chambliss almost threw 4 picks against Miami, and they dropped them all. It is what it is. Like, he was literally throwing them right to defenders, and they just couldn't catch anything. So he could have, maybe about if they had him in that game, if they had him on that team, what the ceiling of that team had looked like. And again, I don't even think that's a fair comparison for the NFL in general. Either way, I don't think it's fair for Kim Carson, Beck, and Chambliss, and I don't know if it's necessarily fair for putting Chambliss in an NBA or NBA. Oh, I'm locked into the end of this Clippers game. The energy is going crazy because the Denver Nuggets are up by 16 right now. It is what it is, but it's 3-4 minutes left in the fourth, so they're kind of closing out the game. Jokic just threw a behind the back pass to Peyton Watson as he cut down the lane. So, we're getting tripped over our words here. It is what it is. But yeah, just as a overall, ceiling of, I guess, ability sort of thought experiment leading to, I guess, maybe what could be a draft opinion. I was thinking about what could Chambliss have done with that talent on that roster, with the offense. What would they have done from a play calling standpoint? Maybe relying on him a little bit more. Who knows? Who knows? But I guess I'm just trying to find ways to confirm having Trinidad Chambliss as the number 2 quarterback in the class. It is what it is. But, there was one other movie take that I had at this point. And, we're, again, hot take corner here in the room. Welcome back in the movie fans. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. We're got one last more hot take for you. And it's just, it's just a vibe in the air. It's just a bit of a moment in time sort of check-in here on the Rem and Sam pod. This is, I'm not saying we're doing like a therapy session here, but just like, hey, how are we feeling about this certain topic in this moment? And I'm kind of starting to think that Sinners might actually win Best Picture. I'm not even going to check the poly market at this point, because I almost wonder if poly market has become like the public bet itself in these scenarios, where it's like where everybody is betting on, not only are we betting on poly market, but everybody is actually betting on poly market to be correct as well. We're betting on poly market, and we're relying on it. We've never actually, I guess, yes, we've relied on sports books to, gauge, lines and stuff like that. But we haven't also really relied on sports books as well, too. They've just been a factor. It seems like for some of these cultural predictions, it's like poly market's like the go-to gauge. It is what it is. And I guess maybe in some ways the odds just would have been always would have been an interesting thing to look at. But I don't think it would have been a fortune teller the way that we rely on poly market the same way. So I don't know if, again, being counterculture against doomsday hate and poly market. It is what it is. But I'm wondering, at some point the poly market's got to be wrong here. And I don't know why we're picking the Sinners, one battle after another debate for that to be the one. Again, maybe just because it's a movie that, we're passionate about. And because of the sort of action movie crossover, just because a lot of those movies, I guess Skyfall and The Dark Knight, a lot of, I guess there is a crossover to the movies that we do love, I guess, getting critical acclaim and being great movies. But being able to break through and get a little bit of awards love as well, too. In Sinners, of course, is the, getting more than just awards love. Obviously, it broke a record for nominations. But their ability, and, obviously way more than just an action movie. Even an action movie, like Skyfall, that can deal with really complicated themes in terms of, your James Bond franchise, especially the last couple of movies, definitely addressing, very complicated sort of governments type of stuff with their storytelling and just, a bigger picture surveillance security type of ordeals. But the intimacy of a story in Sinners is definitely, of course, a little bit more than you would get in, and maybe in some scenes as well too. I guess maybe not in a Bond movie, but I guess a little bit more than any movie. But the intimacy and the actual details of the story is, of course, what is going to set Sinners apart. But just in terms of, we'll say vaguely like an action movie, getting that type of awards praise is, of course, very rare. Or again, the movie that crosses over into both fandom spaces, as action fans would also, care and love about this movie as well too. So, again, for a movie that we're passionate about to be regarded in these awards territories is, we're going to be championing for it, of course. And maybe it's a little bit rare. The Gray Man did not get the same type of Oscars love as Sinners. So we got to really, you know, champion again the movies that we're proud of. It is what it is as fans. But I forget, even again listening to, I don't know, conversations. This might have been just talking to people at work, and at some point the whole sort of awards season conversation around movies, and Ayo, I guess how much can we actually continue to praise this one battle after another movie? I guess at some point it has to die out, but there has been a little bit of a die out again factor, and again my own algorithm just feeding me everything that has to do with this movie as we gear toward awards season. It's like every Ryan Coogler interview, every Delroy, every Michael B. Jordan, every breakdown, every sort of this is the top, best moments, and say like every scene replay. Like my algorithm is definitely distorting my mind about maybe the internet, the internet is out here loving this movie more. And again, the Oscars is not even a reflection of the internet. But I do wonder if there is a little bit of a secret resurgence happening with Sinners compared to One Battle After Another. And, again, I don't even think that this, and, shout out again, second shout out for Van Lathan on the pod. Won't be the last, but maybe the last one today. Who knows? IT said we only get 2. But he was, of course, when One Battle After Another dropped, making a lot of, he was definitely saying about how the movie is really, really good. But in terms of it hitting those all-time great levels, again, not to disrespect the movie, but is it a transcendent movie? Can a movie be, and again, as what is fair to just start instantly labeling this stuff? Hip hop. It's like these, are the directors going to start dropping diss tracks about it? Do you fans argue about this? Like, movie execs yourselves. Like, is this going to be the new Chris Nolan bar in the next song? I don't know. Do you fools listen? Do you fools watch films, or do you just skim through it? Like, I don't know what are the bars gonna be from these guys? Who knows? But for the industry, of course, the just chat. I just lost my train of thought thinking about the directors going for rappers bars. It is what it is. But for the, of course, labels that we give these movies, the fairness of calling it transcendent, instant classic, great, all that different stuff. Again, I guess this is all a matter of opinion. But I think a movie, again, can be, and again, speaking of Van Lathan, there we go. There's the third shout out. Bringing back that Midnight Meter. The way that they have it set up on one of his pods is their movie ranking goes from 1 to 10, but then you can occasionally give a movie an 11 or 12 if it goes into that extra territory. Pause. And I think that would be a great example of One Battle after another. And again, I haven't seen it yet, so maybe I watch it and go, this is a 12. Who knows? I doubt it. It is what it is. But Leo, well, I'm not gonna get into it. I mean, I'm gonna get canceled. It is what it is. But that movie can be a 10. Great movie, all time stuff. But it's just like, again, Sinners is literally just on a different level. I'm not. Sometimes I feel like I guess I'm being crazy, but I guess I'm, because it's like, I also like The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is well regarded. So there, I guess in some ways, the things that I like about movies, there is a greater consensus there that is also realized, where it's like, yes, again, everybody agrees The Dark Knight is a great movie. There's no debating that. But it's just like, and, again, maybe it gets into other things that aren't even important, they are important, but just aren't, attached with the movie in terms of, when it pertains to just enjoying and watching a movie experience. But the fact that it's just like that movie is so well crafted, like we've said before, so well acted. Every element of that movie works. There's just not a wasted second of screen time. And, it's that factor of, yes, every second of the movie works, but then every second of the movie is exceptional as well, too. I know that's a simple way to say it. But if you have a movie that is 100% useful and it's A+ the entire time, I mean, it's just one of the most well-crafted movies that I've literally ever seen. So I don't, again, I don't watch a ton of like indie films, small films, so maybe my brain is not as tuned to like, here's like, the fine arts of the movies and blah, blah, blah. But, for watching big budget movies and watching basic Hollywood films, and again, maybe that's why, if all I'm watching is The Gray Man, then yes, Sinners is gonna stand out as like a masterpiece. But like I'm saying, that's just a fun movie that I'm watching more so than a high. We did the 2025 and left The Gray Man off. We were there was some unbiased there. It is what it is. But it's like I don't understand. I don't understand how a movie, like I've said before, can be better than this movie. So at some point, that has to be realized. And again, am I going to sit here and be dramatic, calling it the best movie of all time? Like, hey, yo, at some point, I guess I have to settle down, maybe. But I do think that for myself, I know that it's going to continue to age that way. Like I've said, I already had it in the top 5 of the 25 for 25. And, I'm thinking like we were saying earlier, a movie like Goodfellas is like, what movies are just easily regarded as, the big movies, what are the best movies of all time. But I'm just like, thinking about the box office movies and thinking about the Oscar nomination movies, they're those types of movies. And, again, the Oscars is not always perfect with that stuff. I get it as well, too. So maybe filtering it in some categories is not always the best way possible. But it's like Titanic. Like, is Titanic the best movie of all time? Titanic is a great event. Is Titanic a better movie than Sinners? Again, is there a better movie than that movie? Is there a better crafted project than that project? And, again, we'd have to get into the specifics of just opinion and, again, making your case versus, well, the Oscars have these stats, or, the box office has it. But again, the box office, obviously not a perfect example, but it's like Avengers, Doomsday, Avatar, what are we, Mission Impossible, like what are you, what Pixar, I guess Pixar might be the highest box office critical acclaim that we can get, honestly. Like, what's the highest crossover of Rotten Tomatoes score and box office? It might be Pixar. But if we're, and, again, Sinners is achieving both of those things great as well, too. But I'm boggled, and it's just, again, it's the Oscars, so I guess at some point it's like, yes, the Oscars, I guess, are going to be the Oscars, and they're going to mess up. They're going to do the wrong thing. Oh, the Oscars are never right. But, and I guess I just have undenying faith that these people are going to pick the right movie every year. I don't know. It is what it is. I probably get too optimistic at times. But I don't know. There was just a sense that I had the other day. I just like was, I don't know. I think this could win. And, it wasn't I don't even know fully. Again, you got obviously the case of it's literally the most nominated movie, and we could still look in. I still need to, look into that bigger picture thing as well, too, about what that means in the scale of the Oscars. But just, right off the bat, that's obviously a statistical element to have in the case for it as the, again, the greatest movie of all time. But like because, again, if we're talking Oscars, talking the stuff, but, I don't know. We'll have to, maybe I'm jumping ahead. Maybe I am making the case for it as the GOAT movie. I don't know. Again, just the legacy of movies, like, for me personally, like the movies that I would rewatch more and then cross over into that prestigious way, like Skyfall, like The Dark Knight, like Sicario. Hey, yo, those are all, is Sinners as perfectly crafted as Sicario? Sicario's pretty great. But, and it does, hit a lot of emotional points as well, too. Again, different journeys for sure. But I think both very sobering perspectives at times. And I think that's the part that that's the part that, of course, that you don't get in Skyfall or The Dark Knight in a sense. Again, both of them very serious topics at times. But maybe the Batman Joker element does keep it a little bit more fantastical at times for that franchise. And, of course, for Bond as well, too. There's going to be that fantastical element there. And, again, we're comparing a very specific real life grounded story against two IP big budget action movies. Again, very different emotional styling. Sicario maybe kind of threading the needle there of a little bit of both. But, again, just in terms of making a project, I don't know, like La La Land, like what's another, like what's like just like a great movie? I don't know. Obviously that one Best Picture, but like, to me, that's not even, I think La La Land's, again, we want to bring back the 10 or 12 movie scale. Like La La Land's a 10 out of 10. It's great. But Sinners is a 13 out of 12. Like it is now, okay, we're pandering there, but it's a 12 out of 12. It is what it is. It's again, it's like the extra level exceptional. So it's just like at some point, as much as the Oscars can maybe mix stuff up, like what is the level to which that can't happen? Because I feel like the times when, like, you know, the obvious one that we think of for like the last 10 years for just random movies, that one, I guess Green Book is pretty iconic, but The Shape of Water, obviously as a concept, just like, I guess the concept of Green Book as well, you know, a little out there, but well, you know, I guess out there in terms of, you know, but just in terms of like, I guess in, what are we saying, realism for Shape of Water, but it's just like what this Fishman situation, you know, hey yo, now we sound like we're in a, you know, Green Book, but you know, this Fishman situation is, you know, just a little difficult to wrap your head around sometimes. It is what it is, I guess, unless you're the lady in that movie. Shout out, which I guess you only need one, but or you can only need one. Hey yo, but hey yo, but the, you know, again, like I feel like the nominations, you know, in a year like that, like did Shape of Water was the year. Oh, Three Billboards the year that Black Panther got nominated. But you know, as good as Black Panther is an action movie, like it is obviously not 100% to the level of Sinners. Like, I mean, Sinners is probably the best movie of Coogler's career up until this point. Again, probably Black Panther might be like a 9 out of 10, and then, you know, again, Sinners is obviously crossing over that threshold. So, you know, I can understand Black Panther getting the nomination, getting the respect, but if if the Academy looks a little bit of a different direction, that's one where I can, you know, hey yo, what would I have voted for? What movie would I personally enjoy more? Can I see the case for another movie? Like, maybe you could talk me into it. Like, I don't understand the case that any movie has over this movie. I don't get where the weakness is. I don't. Is it? Maybe it's a little like, I was gonna say, is it a little like the LeBron argument over Jordan? But maybe it's a little like the Jordan argument over LeBron, where it's like Jordan doesn't really have a weakness in the argument. It's just like, are LeBron's strengths so strong that, I guess I don't even know if we're representing the argument correctly at this point. But it's just like, I just don't even know what is the thing that you would tell me where it's like, okay, why can't Sinners win Best Picture? Go. And it's just like, well, you know, I didn't enjoy it. It's like, okay, I guess, sure, fine. That's if you're in the voting body and that's how you want to respond, then I guess that is, you know, in terms of vote, I guess a valid answer if you're going to vote no in that sense. You know, it's valid in terms of, I guess, how the results are going to play. In terms of, that's, I guess, how it's going to be. But, you know, in terms of, like, really what case do you have? Like, I don't understand the case. So that might be, this might have to be a, you know, pause, like a, you know, and I guess Oscar season, the case for Sinners as Best Picture is definitely, you know, we'll be championing it here on the REMINGTOM pod. Actually, are the Oscars next week? So maybe, or are they Sunday? They might be Sunday. Maybe Sunday we just commit the case for Sinners. Let me see. Is it the first? I don't even know the dates here. It is what it is. Oscars 2026 Sunday. Oh, March 15th. Okay. Conan? Is Conan featuring or Conan hosting? So are they just giving me old information here? It is what it is. No, yes, Sunday, March 15th with Conan hosting. So shout out. It is what it is. If Conan hosts and Sinners wins, we might actually, this Oscars might end up in our top 5 rewatches. Who knows? We get a little soundtrack win as well too. Though it's just going to end up being one battle and K-pop Demon Hunter, and I'm just going to be like, oh man, run it back next year. You know, is Dune 3? See, like Dune 3 could win. But then, you know, conversations, you know, plans within plans basically becomes the conversation there, I guess, as to why certain ones are winning and certain ones aren't. But, and I guess, you know, like we're saying, again, I know, are the Oscars perfect? Is PTA, could you make the case? Could you make the case? I guess, was Dune 2 nominated against Oppenheimer last year? So could you make the case? I guess maybe this would be the one little piece of understanding that I would be that, if I'm not mistaken, and again, if I look this up, I want to prove myself wrong. So I'll go back and look at the dates of the movies here, just, you know, at some point to prove myself wrong, potentially. But maybe PTA has been making movies longer than Coogler. So if it was like a Nolan rising to that timing in his career where he would win it, where Oppenheimer did work as the movie in the bigger picture. And Dune 2, I don't know if we're, again, like, Dune 2 is great. I don't know if we're bummed out that Dune 2 didn't win Best Picture over Oppenheimer. Like, it's probably arguably the better movie. Not probably arguably, it is probably the better movie. But I don't think it's as, it's a great movie. And it's probably going to be a transcendent movie in terms of cultural impact and rewatchability and, lifespan and all that different stuff. And, Sinners is hopefully going to be able to achieve all those things as well, too. I mean, it definitely will, for sure. But, again, in terms of the craft of Dune 2, which is it's just an excellent film. It's just not on the level of Sinners. It is what it is. And I just don't know. Sometimes I think I don't know. But it's like, it's just what I think. It's just what I think. I honestly think that this is, as good of a movie as I've ever seen. Again, can I call it the best movie ever? I guess before the Oscar, before it's even been out a year. But I mean, isn't that the point of the great? Sometimes with the great things as well too. Pause. Like with Good Kid, Mad City, you knew right away. I guess that's another one where, The Heist, of course, famously wins the Grammy over Good Kid, Mad City. But you knew right away that album was instant classic. I mean, you could look back now over the last 14 years. Well, maybe GNX now was, honestly, maybe the next album. Maybe Kendrick is the only person that has dropped the quote-unquote instant classic since then. But there was a little bit of maybe intrigue as to what TPAP was at first, even though the hits were, insane off of that, obviously. And Mr. Morale, again, maybe a little bit more of like a takes time to adjust to maybe not takes time to adjust to what the project is, but just terms of hashing out the dialogue of the project, and then you kind of settle into ultimately, of course, as we do, enjoying the good parts of it. It is what it is, and ultimately, again, Kendrick really doesn't have any bad parts. Pause. In his discography, but that is an album that you really just have to, just basically ask yourself, what is the time frame for us ranking this potentially as the greatest album of all time? Again, I don't want to just start randomly throwing out segments here at the end of the pod, but, like, what is it? Is it time spent that you would have Illmatic over Good Kid, Mad City? Like, again, I'm not sitting here saying it's obvious, but I'm just saying, like, how many years does it have to drop before you can say those things? Like, how many years does Sinners have to be out before I just, like, okay, well, now it's just a better movie than these movies before it? Because, again, watching the craft of the film, it's excellent. And, again, we've known this the whole time. It is what it is. And has it even been a year yet since this movie dropped? But, again, I just can't understand. Hey, I guess I can, of course, understand how a movie this good could not win. But it's just like, this is, like I'm saying, this is to another level. This is to such an undeniable level where this is obviously such a bigger conversation than what I'm even capable of having. But it's just like, at some point, it's just like, what? It has to win. But hey, we'll see what happens. But there was like I for some reason randomly just had a sense of hope that this movie could win. We know the nominations. We know where it stands in terms of that versus the field. We know where the poly market sits at right now. I guess it's terms of a couple days ago. I did check it right after. I did get the. Can I say a whiff of hope again? I don't know. I think that maybe be a one-time use on that statement. But right after I got sort of that, that surge of optimism. Hey, we'll find words for it. For Sinners, I did check it just to be like, okay, poly market, you're on watch. But I was just randomly like, okay, at some point, again, the poly market is probably not going to be wrong. It is what it is. AI, it's just, the computer, the auto draft team. It's like, you're looking at the auto draft team. You're like, there's no way that Aaron Jones will win this guy the fantasy league. And then you're like, of course he wins the fantasy league. So it's just like, yeah, of course. I don't know. PTA is the Aaron Jones of the Oscars, but it's just like, come on, what are we doing here? We'll get off the soapbox for tonight, Chad. Okay, a round of applause for Rem over here on the Rem and Sam pod. He likes Sinners. Shout out. So yeah, it is what it is. But again, I can only be honest in the movies that we like, and this is just it is what it is. Shout out. Like I only ranked Black Panther a 9 out of 10 to make everybody happy, because that's people either really love that movie or like, oh, it's the worst movie. It's actually not a great movie. It's like, no, it's actually it actually is a great movie, but it can also be just it's just a great action movie with I mean, it is got a lot more going on than just a great action movie. But in terms of the pacing of the plot and some of the beats of the set pieces, hits a real classical action movie element that, again, it's just so fun to watch. But then, as Coogler would do, gives you a real story. So I know we've made the Kendrick Coogler comparison in the past, but it's that substance and style combination. And Sinners is both to the highest degree. It's just like what's the substance in one battle after another? What am I taking away from that movie? Okay, maybe I need to watch it and see, but it was, and again, there is great performances, I guess, funny moments, again, speaking of craft of the film, great film craft. I'm not sitting here saying that PTA does not deliver, like all the guys that we've mentioned, consistently, on a consistent basis. But there's just no way that you walked away from that movie with the emotional lessons and the emotional experience. And again, just, having listened to you listen to great music. There's love, there's horror, there's violence. It's just, I mean, I gotta go watch it right now. It is what it is. It's just like, it's crazy. So, I mean, make no mistake. Tune in next time and tune in the time after that as we champion the movie for Best Picture. But I don't know. Maybe the optimism was, we'll if you want the movie to win, and obviously you want the conversation, you gotta be the change you want to see, I guess, is what we were thinking. The end of the day. So maybe that optimism was, I don't know, if we're thinking that way, it's like I feel like, I don't know, there's just a little sliver of hope that maybe they can. And I don't even know, how important is it that this movie could win Best Picture, but I almost wonder from the Oscars side of it as well too. And I one battle after another, like the Oscars wouldn't get criticized for giving that. Again, the movie's got good Rotten Tomato score, so it is what it is. But we'll workshop it. We'll be back next time. We'll be back Sunday. No NFL games to, of course, follow along to this Sunday, but no live NFL games to follow along this Sunday. Maybe a little hint there. Maybe a little trip into the time machine. Speaking of, we tread lightly after the movie conversation we just had. But in terms of the sports time machine, we get back in and maybe take a trip there. We'll have to see. So stay tuned for the Sunday live stream. It should be a lot of fun. Of course, like I said, no live NFL, but I guess, we will have still an NFL focus and still a Super Bowl focus as well too, as we look ahead to Seahawks Patriots. Sam Darnold versus Drake May is, the headliner showdown we all were expecting to see. I mean, maybe that's why we're focused on the Oscars, because PTA versus Coogler is just a lot more fun. I don't know. It is what it is. Maybe Drake May and Darnold. Maybe we give him time. Darnold's still, he late bloomer. Drake May, early couple years. He'll be like Mahomes, early couple of years, and then, he'll the fall off. Or like J. Cole. I don't know. I guess that'll be next week. So a lot going on here on the Rim and Sam pod. We got, again, a fun pre-Super Bowl anticipation live stream. The pre-Super Bowl hype live stream. I don't know if that's, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. You're going to want to jump on. Of course, we're here Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. Next Friday is the drop for J. Cole's next album, The Fall Off, which we are very, very excited for there. We will be back live reacting to that one. That one, I don't know if we will. Are we going to change the rules and listen to that one before and then go in with thoughts prepared and then re-listen to that one here? I don't know. Do we have to prepare some thoughts, or do we go? I think we go live reaction. I think if we change up the method, it has to be after the J. Cole album. I think the opportunity to listen to a J. Cole album first time here on the pod, I mean, I'm sure we'll get the opportunity. Hopefully we'll get the opportunity to get, I'm saying maybe from a J. Cole side of things, maybe no spoilers for that conversation. But regardless, the schedule is, and then after J. Cole Friday, that Sunday will be the Super Bowl. So, we'll be chilling here on the Rim and Sam pod. You will want to stay tuned, subscribe. It'll be fun. You can, of course, follow us on the podcast feeds as well, too. You can send us a message on Instagram, Rim and Sam pod over there. And we will see you all as the weekend goes to a close Sunday night. Enjoy the next couple of days. Do we say it, chat? We made it through the whole